This is the home of Alan Robson's Night Owls.
With the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And it seems, try pulling your fader up on it, we've a good start. And a lot of people sending in emails and stuff. Tracy absolutely loved last night. Halloween is always the best with you. Thank you very much. Sando, just wanted to say how much I enjoyed last night's Halloween show. I had you on my big telly. It was great to be able to see you in the places that you went to. Also, Chris and Tony. Hope you get a chance to do more like that. We are aiming to do many more like that. And just watch this space in weeks and months to come. About COVID, we knew we would get you on. William says, COVID is the next strain from swine flu. Why don't they tweak the swine flu jab accordingly? The government claim hundreds dying from COVID, but what about all those that die from cancer, old age, pneumonia, undiagnosed illnesses, or late diagnosis due to the GPs not being open? The whole thing sucks, man. Loving your show. Thank you very much. Let's go and talk to the peeps. That's what it's all about. We're starting off in Stanley. We have John there. Hello, John.
Hiya, are you all right?
I'm good, mate. Hope you are well. What you got for us all?
Yeah, we've got a house full, we should say. The photograph that you've noticed, we have CCTV.
Right.
And it was caught around about 6 o'clock in the morning. We've caught like two figures outside. And I did inquire about them, and basically what I've been told is it's the whole street. It is full of energy, and it's not the only thing we've come across, because this house we live in has actually had a hanging in it.
You had a hanging in the street?
Hanging in the house we live in.
Oh, not this past week?
No. This is going back for a while, because they all colliery houses.
Oh, blimey.
And the house we're in, it was actually a shop.
Right.
And it's got a cellar.
Uh-oh.
And apparently somebody had hung themselves in the cellar.
So what kind of stuff do you get in the house? I mean, you mentioned that you've seen some stuff on CCTV outside.
Yeah.
What did the figures look like outside? Let's start there.
They're just like a ghostly apparition. There's two of them just on the main road.
Right.
And like as I say, I put it on Facebook, and the amount of comments I got back from them, it was unbelievable.
Brilliant.
And the ones in the house, they are mainly like orbs.
Right.
And they just fly about everywhere. We have keys going missing, things being moved about.
Right.
And the most scary one of all is we've had footsteps. We know there's a little lad runs about upstairs and downstairs in the passage.
Right.
So we can hear footsteps. And like as I say, the scariest one of all was we were going out one night. I was locking up the doors, the outside door, and going out the front.
Yeah.
As I was coming through, the cellar door moved.
Oh, bloody. Right. I would imagine you probably went out a bit quicker than you thought you were going to.
Yeah. I did, yeah. But as I say, we've asked these spiritualist people to come in.
Yeah. Any joy?
No, some of them just refuse. Don't know why.
Right.
So we've never been harmed yet.
No, but it's interesting that you sound to be living with them reasonably well.
Yeah. Well, me and the wife were both spiritualists.
Right.
We do go to church, and basically we were married in a spiritualist church.
Right.
So
you're kind of ready for it, sort of. I get it.
Uh-huh.
No, but the cellar, what do you use your cellar for?
Oh, it's workshop.
Right.
My domain.
Right, but you're technically in the place where the nasty happened, and that does stay in a place. Is it strangely cold down there?
Yes, it is very cold.
Yeah, no matter what kind of heating you put on, it's still a bit chilly.
No matter.
Right.
Yes, it's. I think. Well, me and the wife's getting used to living with it, but I think anybody else coming in and realising what the house is, I think they would run a mile.
Not bad. Hey, it's interesting that it's the whole street, though. And do you think the street is haunted because of what happened in your house?
I don't know. I haven't done much on the history of the full street.
Because they were, I mean, most of Stanley back in the day were colliery houses with miners, and an awful lot. Let's face it. I mean, the average age for a miner to to survive down the pit was something like 4.5 years. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of them having the black spit and a lot of them getting injured and septicemia and dying. And there was a lot of death, sadly, tied
There
up
was
with that whole
actually-
industry.
There was actually a disaster in one of the quarries around here and all. There was about 100 odd miners killed.
Right. And how many of them lived in your street?
Yes, exactly. We just don't know.
Blimey. But it's the whole thing is fascinating because to me,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people say, oh, I'm not sure whether I believe in ghosts. I'm 70-year-old, I've never seen one. You hear a bit of that. But to me, the most interesting thing about energy, if we call it energy,
Yeah.
is how they got to be dead in the first place. Because it's usually something, what? They got hung in John's cellar. What? The whole street's got ghosts because of the pit. All of that is just, it's our roots, and we should know these things.
Well,
so what do you make in the workshop? Are you building coffins, or is it
No, it's just my little domain. I'll do anything.
it's your man cave?
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
I'm jealous. I wish I had
Full
one,
of
but
beer and wine and all.
But
Plenty of spirit.
yeah, I'm just going down to do some work.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand. I've got you nailed. Hey, well, that's a tremendous way to start the show, John. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, no bother. But can I say, I didn't really believe in the spirits till I nearly had a near death myself.
Well, what happened?
I was actually in the car going down a bank,
Right.
and I was speeding, I must admit, hands up,
Right,
and it was come to the bottom. There was a junction,
right,
and a car pulled out of the junction and crossed my lane,
right.
and there was another one coming up to pull into that junction.
Uh-huh.
And I was going to crash. I know I was. And I just took my foot off the accelerator, gripped the steering wheel, and waited for the bang. And the bang never happened. And I found myself across the other side of the road. The car pulled in, so I swung around and come back up. And I was sitting talking to the guy. The guy was shaking, literally just frozen to the wheel, and he was shaking like hell.
Right.
And I says, I apologise, did you get the registration of the car that was parked across? He says, no. I says, well, what's the matter with you? He says, your wing mirror passed mine centimetres. He says, how you got through that gap? He says, just don't know. And I just turned around and I said to him, I'm sorry, neither did I, because I had my eyes closed. And I was talking to a spiritualist person later on,
Yeah.
and they said it was your Uncle Robert was sitting beside you and he guided you through.
Wow.
And
my
ever
goodness.
since that day,
Yeah.
I'm a big believer of it, and this is when these things started to happen.
Amazing. I just wish I had your uncle sitting next to me on
Oh.
occasions. Blame, we could all do with one of them.
I think he's always there with us,
Well, that's tremendous.
you know.
Hey, great stuff. John, thanks again for being with us. Proud of you, man.
No bother.
Thanks for coming on.
I hope to talk to you again.
Look forward to it. I'd look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Cheers, John. Bye-bye. John in Stanley. Tremendous. And it's like, you know, when they're showing you around the house, you know, and they're thinking, well, this house is available. Would you be interested? That's your living room there, and that's your kitchen. Do this, and then downstairs is the cellar where the man hanged himself. And they never tell you these kind of things, but maybe they should start. Colour coats, we're off there. It's not Whitley Bain, it's not Tynemouth. It's rather more exclusive than that. It's in between. It's David. Hello, David.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, man. What are you talking about tonight?
I just wanted to thank you and Chris and Tony for what you did for us last night. It was just amazing. I felt like I was back home listening to the Night Owls, and
Good.
it was just like a great night.
Glad you liked it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for what you did for us.
That's all right. No worries. We want to be doing a lot more. It's just
I know.
you know what's going on at the minute. It's hard to do anything without looking over your shoulder.
Crazy times, and I was.
Just that.
I loved your tales of Slavery Jack and
Yeah.
all that. I didn't know anything about that.
This is the thing, and the main reason that I got into putting them down on paper is people used to, because we did ghosty stuff on the radio, people would come up and say, but what about that story of the bloke in South Shields who lived in the cave?
Yeah.
And you go, a man lived in who was he? So then you jot down what the story is, And then I mention it on the radio, and then half a dozen people say, "Oh, I used to know him. He's my friend's cousin's uncle's, and he did this and he did that." And
Yeah.
you think, well, if nobody puts these damn things down in writing, they're going to disappear, and nobody'll have them.
I know.
That's the main reason that we started doing it. But they're very handy if you're looking for something to stick into a Halloween program as well. That's not a bad thing either.
So
But
I'm looking forward to the book. I'm going to order it.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
I've never seen anything. I've always said, I would love to go on a ghost hunt, but because I'm disabled, I cannot run.
Right.
So it would be interesting.
Are you in wheels of steel, or are you still
I'm not.
on your feet? Right.
I have a scooter, but
Right.
I can walk a little bit with sticks.
Right. Probably not as quick as you might need to,
Yeah.
though. That's the thing.
Right. So it would be interesting, but I've never had any proper ghostly experiences, but I've had so many signs.
Right.
I lost my eldest brother when I was 9.
Uh-huh.
And that was a really hard time for us.
Not bad. So what sign did you get from him then?
I was a little bit older, and I was living in Gateshead, and then I was going through a really hard time myself, like a mental breakdown.
Right.
He's buried in Prudhoe, and I felt like I was called to him.
Right.
I don't know why,
Mm-hmm.
but I got on a bus and I went to the graveyard, and I didn't know where he was, because I hadn't been there since the funeral.
Sure.
And I couldn't cope with the fact that my brother was in a box. I found it really hard.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was being drawn to him, and I found his grave. I just went, he's there.
Right.
And I found him, and I sat beside his graveside, and I talked to him about what I was going through, and I wished I'd got to know him better and whatnot, because he was only 22 when he died.
Right.
And I remember getting everything out of my system and coming back to Gateshead, and then I went to the metro station, and they had those barriers that you walk through.
Yeah.
And I went to walk through the barrier, and someone hit us at the back. And I turned round, and there was no one there. It was completely empty.
Right. So it was patting you on your back for coming to see him.
I felt like he was saying, I'm with you.
Right.
Whatever you're going through, I'm with you. And then, I lost my dad 5 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
From cancer and stuff. And, through my disability, I was going to an appointment. And when I came out of the appointment, it was a blizzard outside.
Right.
And I was stuck in this, half-shelter bus stop in the middle of a blizzard. And I looked at the sky and I went, I cannot believe I'm here. And a white feather came and landed on my heart.
That's just ridiculous, isn't it?
In the middle of a blizzard.
What? A white feather?
A white feather. I mean, everything was soaking. And I've still got this feather. I've kept it.
Yeah.
I put it in a little crystal box, beside my TV.
Yeah. Because it means something. So you're going to keep it forever.
It just felt like someone was looking after us then. And I'd managed to get to, into Whitley Bay from there. And this little cafe I went to, they said, come in, sit down. They gave us some soup and, a bread roll.
Yeah.
And they said, we'll look after you, you'll be all right. And I just, from something when I felt so desperate, I felt like my dad helped us that day. And
it was when you needed the help the most as well, which makes it more relevant to you, absolutely.
It's just, that's what I mean. I haven't seen anything. I've felt them in so many ways. But
this is the reason why you'd probably be really good on a ghost hunt, because we took a guy who was unable to see, and we made sure it was somewhere where there wasn't a lot of steps and there wasn't too many places to go, and we made sure we kept somebody that kind of watching over, which is not ideal, obviously, but we had to take serious precautions, and he felt all kinds of things. And
they say people with autism have a sixth sense, and I feel that.
All of the other senses are working 10 times harder than they are for the rest of us.
Maybe I'm not socially I have like really bad social anxiety and stuff like that.
Right.
But I feel like when I'm desperate, like people, like my brother and my dad, comfort
Come
me.
through for you. Yeah. No, hey, good stuff, and thank heavens they do. David, great things. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Alan.
No worries.
For what you did. I wish we had you every night. I love you to bits.
Bless you. Thanks, man. Good people, and I'm just grateful that you liked what we did. It took us a lot of time and a lot of sorting out to get kind of everything in place. Going to play another piece of music for you, which is just great, because we're greatest hits, for heaven's sake. But first of all, as you know, over the years, a lot of superstars have talked to me about the ghosty thing, because we've taken them on ghost hunts, we've got them involved in the kind of stuff we did, and one such person was Dame Helen Mirren.
I've had supernatural experiences that maybe were all in my mind, you know. I remember in one night in particular, when I was working in Stratford-on-Avon, and I would have to drive home late at night after the theatre, down dark country lanes. Normally that never bothered me, although at the time I found it very frightening to walk past cemeteries. Just my imagination was dark. I could not walk past cemeteries at night. I don't mind now. Now I absolutely can. But anyway, I was driving home and suddenly, for absolutely no reason, I got really, really frightened. It was as if in the driving I'd entered into a zone of evil. It's the only way I can describe it. A kind of a zone of evil. And I'm a very rational person, and I can talk myself, and I'm very pragmatic, and I'm very down to earth, basically. And so I was trying to talk myself out of this because there was no logical reason for it whatsoever. And eventually I drove out of it. Basically, it was almost as if I'd drawn into a zone of evil, and then I drove out of it, and then I was okay. But it was so vivid and so strong that I've never forgotten it. It's funny. And I would say that's the closest I've really ever been to a real feeling of something supernatural.
This is the home of Alan Robson's Night Owls.
With the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Well, just being sent a message on the screen saying how good the production was from Chris and Tony last night, and he's just crashed an advert. You see, you cannot trust him. No, Flameproof said last night was great. The production was fantastic. Well done, Chris and Hollywood. Well done indeed. Craig Tuck says the Catholic bishop, rich people getting the vaccine first. It's a rich man's world. They don't share it, and that's why they remain rich. And Mark Smith in Kibby says he's going to watch the whole thing, the last night's thing, because it's on YouTube, obviously. He's going to watch it tomorrow, which is cool. So thanks to him. Enjoy and spread the word. Got a clue for you to win a copy of my new book, which is The Grisly Tales of Northumbria. All you have to do is work out the name of a greatest hit from 4 words. I'm going to give you 4 clues to 4 words. Then you tell me what song we're talking about, if you can work it out. The first clue is this. A name for a make of dried mashed potato. You put it in a pan, you add a bit of water or milk, and you mix it all up. What's it called? The name for a make of dried mashed potato. You might remember the old advert for it. They peel it with their little metal knives. Or not. Anyway, let's crack on. We've got Angela from Stanley. Hello, Angela.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, my darling. What can we do for you tonight?
Total different subjects from last week.
Okay.
I started talking about TikTok and how good it was and the good and bad thing. And
Yeah.
the point I was actually trying to get about that was there's too many people who are bullying people and judging them when they don't even know them, you know.
How do explain that to somebody who doesn't TikTok? I mean, how do you bully somebody on TikTok? Explain.
Well, people will post a video, and for a lot of people, it takes a lot of, you know,
courage to do that. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
You're leaving yourself wide open, and people could see anything, I suppose.
I've done so myself, and I really don't care what people see.
Right.
I honestly don't care.
Right. That's
If you
good.
don't like me, don't look. But some people have posted videos and the comments are just, some of them are vile, absolutely vile, and there's no need. If you see somebody and don't like them, scroll past, go past.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know. But that was last week anyway.
Okay.
This week I want to talk about somebody who's a massive inspiration to me, and that's my nana.
Right.
She's 91 years old.
Oh, blimey.
Still absolutely beautiful. She's got the most beautiful, absolutely gorgeous white hair. People pay money to get that colour.
Right.
And it still doesn't look that colour. But she's been through quite a lot in her life.
I'd be surprised if you're able to see her now that we've locked down again. I mean, is that a
Well,
door close to?
actually, I'm going to see her on Tuesday.
Right, before the lockdown kicks in proper.
Yeah, but the thing is, where we're going to see where she is now is they have a thing where they're inside and they have a phone and you're outside with a phone.
Right.
So there isn't any actual contact, so I think that should still be okay. I don't know. But I know it's still in place for Tuesday when I go and see her.
You just want to give her a cuddle, though. She's your nana.
I'm dying to give her a... Oh, don't.
I know, Dan. This is this thing that people... governments don't understand. People want to be human with each other, and if they're not human with each other, what's the bloody point?
The one person I'm actually closest to in my life is my nana. I've always given her a cuddle, kiss and cuddle, and she's not a kissy person, a cuddly person or anything like that. She's not one to show emotions, but she'll always give me a kiss and cuddle and say, I love you. You know? But she's been through when there was a bomb went off at Beamish.
Yeah, right.
I think she was 10 or 11 at the time she was there.
Wow.
She'd actually had a hold of a child, handed the child back to her, I don't know if it was a mama or a grandma.
Right.
the child and the grandma got blown away into a tree. They were killed. My nana got blown into a wall, got a concussion. We're still here. There's actually books about it, and it's my nana's not actually mentioned in it, but my great grandma was.
Right.
So
because nobody, you talk about a bomb went off in Beamish, World War II. We're talking about during the war. Who? And this is the other thing. I was talking before about why do you put things down in paper and write stories about? Because people should know these things. It's part of your history.
Definitely.
And how many people even knew that a bomb went off at Beamish at all? Because let's face it, it's not like you've got a Vickers Armstrong's weapons factory or you're building Spitfires or something up there,
Yeah.
Amazing story.
It's a really quiet place. Apparently, they were waiting for a bus. There used to be a bus every sort of 15 minutes, and one had just gone. It was so full that nobody else could get on. Right. And they were waiting for the next bus. And I think it was one of our bombs.
It was one of our bombs?
Yeah, I think it was one of ours that it exploded. If I've read right, I can't remember.
Right.
But she's, like I say, she survived that with a concussion.
Right. Amazing.
She's had... I think she was in her 40s, 50s.
Right.
She was in quite a major crash on a bus on a trip. And she walked away with nothing.
I'm surprised she's ever going anywhere near a bus after the last two.
I know.
A bombing and a crash. Hell's bells.
She's had pneumonia 3 times, made full recovery.
Oh, she's a fighter then.
She's had a stroke and made a full recovery.
Right.
She had coronavirus in April. She was really poorly, and we were actually prepared for the worst. We didn't think she was going to make it.
Right.
And then she turned the corner and she did make it, and she's made a full recovery.
She's slap bang in the most dangerous area for that whole damn thing, right?
Every time she's been bad or whatever, the doctors have come out and they've taken a reading of, the heart and everything, and they've said, you've got the heart of a 20-year-old.
Right.
She's so strong.
Good.
And she is, honest to God, I love that woman so much. She's my inspiration.
It's just but the people that are that you're an inspiration to, like the rest of your family, I would imagine you've not had much chance to see them too. So it works at both ends for you. You can't see your nana, you can't see your children or grandchildren as well, I guess.
I can see my son.
Right.
He's only young.
Right.
My daughter's grown up. And sorry.
That's all right, love.
She's grown up with her blood. And like I say, I haven't seen her or my granddaughter who's only 2.
No. Do you talk on the phone?
Yeah, we have
phone.
video calls all the time, but it's not the same.
No, it's not. No, it's absolutely not.
My daughter came to drop some cards off for my son's birthday. And she sort of like opened the car door and threw them out. And then closed the door. And we were talking, I was looking at her, and she just looked up at the lights, and I just thought, the 2-year-old, 3-year-old daughter, and I started crying. I set her off.
It's a tough time, and the one thing that you see politicians glibly saying, well, we're doing this for your own good. And I hear that. I get it. I understand. Kind of. But if you said to the people, and that's you and me and all your family and all the people that we know and love and want to protect, if they said to us, do you really want the place locked down? Or do you want it to be open and let nature take its course, whatever nature, because nature usually does whatever we do.
Yeah.
Would you like nature to take your course when everybody can enjoy their life and work, and you can keep your jobs going, and you can keep your family going, and you can give people who are dying anyway a cuddle, for heaven's sake? The simple, human, normal things. I think there would be a flood of people saying, okay, let's just go for it, and let it become the next flu, or the next Asian flu, or the next whatever the hell's coming down the pipe. We don't know. But once we've done this for one virus, We have to do it for every virus, otherwise we're wasting our time, aren't we?
Yeah, but like I say, it's flu season, so
Yeah.
how do you know if you've got the flu or if you've got that? You know what I mean?
Well,
It's
trust
just-
me, you will be. It'll be written down as COVID, whatever happens, whatever the hell that is.
Well, I know a couple of people who've actually had notifications saying that they've tested positive, but they've never even put a test in.
And well, I know people that have done the same thing. I mentioned a few days ago that a whole group of nurses went on holiday and they were asked to take a test before they went. They didn't have time to do it, and they just went off on holiday and had a lovely time. And when they came back in the country, they got paperwork, all 21 of them, saying that they were all tested positive for COVID, and they hadn't taken the test either. So there's a lot of BS flying around there. And it's not that we accept it exists. We accept that some people have sadly lost their lives for it. We get it. But why are they making it this other thing? Because that's... Just tell us the truth. The truth. It's a slippery thing to find the truth at times, isn't it, Angela?
I mean, have you actually done a test for it?
Me? No, I don't want one. I'm champion.
It's not pleasant.
Feel me brow. What do they do? What do they stick where?
I did one in June.
Right.
I had to send away for a home testing kit.
Okay.
And I had to do it, you have to push it right to the back of your throat.
Oh, no.
On either side, which I'm the most coggly person you can ever meet. The slightest thing, and I'm like, ugh.
Yes, I would have whipped on somebody there. I think.
Yeah, you can imagine what I was like. Tears streaming down the face and everything. And then you've got to, straight after you've done that, you've got to put up your nose. Like as far as you can push it.
No, my brain,
systems.
You keep going. Your brain's up there. You've got to be careful.
Yeah, you do. And then you've got to put it in this thing and send it off.
And did it come back good news or bad news?
Negative.
Negative, which is great. But you see, but then they tell you, but only 1 out of the 10 tests actually work. And then they say, you might not have it today, but tomorrow you might have it. So do you have to do one every day for the rest of your life? Doesn't make any sense. But hey, doesn't make any sense. But I hope you get to see your family soon, Angela. I sincerely do.
I know, me too.
We need to wrap our arms around the people that we love. Full stop. It's not on. Angela, thanks for calling in again. Appreciate you.
Right. Okay.
Thanks, darling.
Right. Thanks a lot.
Bye. So there is Angela. What a damn shame. And now, in the middle of the show yesterday, one of the night owls we were talking to kind of went all quiet and then disappeared altogether. So it is a good thing that Lynn from North Shields called us tonight. Hello, Lynn.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. Good to catch up with you again. Pick up where you started last night. Tell us all about it.
I can't quite remember where I got disconnected.
Right.
But I think it was where I was telling you about, I was living in this house at Whitley Bay, West Monkseaton, and this is about 7-8 years ago.
Right.
I was living on my own at the time, and it was an end semi-detached, so I just had one neighbour.
Right.
For elderly people. I would go to bed maybe 12, 1 o'clock, because I'm a late go, person who goes to bed quite late.
Night owls, of course.
And I would get upstairs, get into bed, and all of a sudden you would hear clash, bang, wallop, things flying around, things stopping off the wall, things dropping off on the floor, and I thought, God, it's breaking. So downstairs I came with a mobile phone in hand, opened the lounge door, looked around, nothing. Everything was silent. The noise had stopped, and I thought, So as you do, you check the windows, you check the doors. Nothing was disturbed. Everything was quiet outside.
Right.
Sat downstairs for a little while, and I thought, well, I don't know what that was, but it was quite spooky.
Yeah.
So back up to bed. I thought, well, can't stop downstairs all the time. So back up to bed and got into bed. Again, it started again. And I thought, I've got to go down. I just can't lie. Just, let this happen.
Right.
So back down. Same thing repeated. As soon as I got halfway down the stairs, it would stop. Looked around and I thought, well, there was no sort of just reason for it happening. There was no windows open and or nothing like that, and nothing outside.
Right.
So I thought to myself, well, what can it be? And of course, it repeated itself sort of night after night, and then it would maybe stop for a few weeks, then it would start again. And I thought, well, it can only be one thing. It can only be the spirit.
Right.
Now it was a new built house, so obviously, nobody had been in before. And I thought, well, it can only be one person. The person, when we bought the house, helped me to choose it, was somebody I had known for 24 years.
Right.
And he suddenly in 2010 had taken his own life.
Oh, right.
In our younger days, we had been engaged, so we had been together on and off quite a long time. And I thought, well, I'm sure it's him, but obviously I can't be
certain. Really.
Nothing ever happened like this before. So I thought, well, right, if it's him, he's not going to do me any harm. Didn't in life. And I just thought, this is it. I know it sounds strange, but I just accepted it.
Did you ever talk to him using his name in the house?
I did. I mean, when it happened a few times, I sat downstairs in the dark, and I said, well, I know who you are, I'm a little bit frightened by it, but, you're trying to make contact, and that is good. And I accept that.
Did it make a difference?
Not really. It still happened. But I think I wasn't so nervous, once I sort of accepted it. And at the finish, I mean, I lived there, just 3-4 years ago. It was fine. I would hear the noises. I would come down, and during the night, and I would think, well, it's just the spirit. And then I thought, well, am I going mad here? So one day, my friend came over, and he says, do you mind if I go upstairs to use the toilet? I says, no, by all means. So I was just sitting downstairs in the lounge, and he come downstairs. He says, is there somebody upstairs? I said, no. I said, why did you say that? He says, well, have you come upstairs? I said, no. I said, what's the matter? He said, well, when I was in the bathroom, I heard somebody walking out of the main bedroom, across the landing, and standing outside the bathroom door.
Puts you off your stroke, that, and if you can tell, you stop whittling. You clench, you kind of clench and go, hang on. And if you're pooing, you've got to put paper down because you don't want anybody to hear the splash. We know what goes on in your bedrooms and your bathrooms.
So I thought, well, right. I said, well, what sort of, noise was it? He said, it was footsteps. There was somebody standing outside the door on the landing. Now, this landing had a bit of a creaky floorboard under the carpet, so when you stand on it, it would make a noise. And he said there was somebody making this noise, creaking on the floorboard outside the bathroom door. But he says, I heard footsteps.
Right.
And I says, right. And I thought, well, this has got to be what I think it is.
Right.
And I was quite sort of sure in my mind that it was the spirit, and because nobody else had really died, relations in bygone years, but nobody,
not within the time frame that it seemed to fit. No, I understand that. I understand.
And I thought, well, it's got to be here. If it's the spirit, it's the spirit.
Right.
And
did you become comfortable with it or not?
Yes. Good. I totally accepted it, and I thought, well, at the finish, it was quite a comfort.
Right.
I thought, well, at least he's there. And I went back to something that was said in 1987 when we were engaged, and we were sitting in the traffic lights at Jesmond. Cemetery was, you see, 70 years. And I was on about dying. I mean, we were young, when we were 20s, and he turned around, he says to me, he says, well, he says, I'll always sort of look, you know, when I'm dead, he says, I'll always look out for you. I says, right. He says, I'll always be there, and I'll always be watching over you. And that come to mind, and I thought...
Maybe he is. Does it not worry you, though, when you're putting your pants on in the morning that he's sitting in the chair watching?
No. I mean, sometimes, you know, I used to run downstairs out of bed, sort of, you know, just maybe with a T-shirt on, bare feet and nothing else on, you know, just sitting in the dark, talking to this ghost. And
you might have been blushing and you'd never know. You'd never know. Hey, but it's a lovely story all the same, Lynn.
I know. I thought, well, it would have been for the Halloween.
Perfect timing.
You know, and it was true that I would sort of come on and share it with you.
I'm glad you did. Thanks for coming back to us as well.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
Well,
Dan. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So that's nice. She's being enveloped in love by something that kind of used to frighten her, but now she's got to a place. I think there's stuff all around us, and I think perhaps more than ever, you got to remember, if we're talking about an energy, a life force or life forces, in the room where I'm sitting and where you're sitting, you've got television signals flying around, that's energy. You've got telephone signals flying about, satellite signals, telephone mast signals. You've got all kinds of stuff, all kinds of energy in your house anyway. And to think there might be some energy that comes from a passing, because they've proven that scientifically, they must be having a fairly tough time squeezing in. And when they do squeeze in, maybe they make a noise every now and then. And is that normal? Probably is. One of the things I've never been able to explain, and I mentioned this on the show before, but it's worth mentioning because I bet it's happened to a lot of you. I was at home and a friend rang, and I was having a chat with her about just life in general. You're just shooting the breeze. And I was in the front of the house looking out the window while I was talking to her. And I heard the sound, and the only thing I can liken it to, if you could imagine a car speeding, coming off the road and driving literally through the front of your house. I heard this huge explosion, and I heard metal clanging and bricks falling. And I used an ounce of profanity. It has to be said, what the? That? And down the other end of the telephone, my friend was saying, what was that? I've just heard a huge explosion. And I don't know what it is. Let me go and find out. And I went around every room in the house. I went outside and walked around the edge, outside to make sure that there was nothing awry. And there was nothing there. I went up in the attic. There was nothing out of place. What the hell was that? There's a lot of anomalies, strange things that happen that we've got no explanation for. And that is why we keep looking, listening, watching, finding stories, visiting the places, because there's stuff out there we're yet to understand. Let's go to New Biggin by the Sea because Jason is with us. Hello, Jason.
Hello, Alan, you all right?
You don't want to talk with Jason on Halloween?
It was me that rang up yesterday, yes.
Very good. Good to hear from you. What can we do for you then?
I was ringing up solely about your last video last night where you were in the haunted forest.
The woods, yes,
Yeah, right, you never said where you were. I don't know if there was a reason.
Yeah.
You never said the location.
Yeah, because I wasn't supposed to do any filming there or anything, so I basically just kept stum. But
I've managed to pinpoint where you were.
Okay, good.
No, what it was is a couple of years ago I was actually working in that area.
Right, good.
When they were starting to demolish the asylum.
Dance carefully around this, if you will. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were taking it down.
Yes.
And I always thought to myself, I'd love to get in there and get a couple of cameras set up at a night time and just see what happens.
Yeah.
But obviously there was no way they were letting anyone in now. They'd started to demolish it.
Now, you say that, but on my website, robsonsworld.com, there is a 4-hour show of me in there because I had a discreet word with the security men who said nothing and pressed on. And there's actually a full 4-hour little episode. So, but yes, and what an amazing place. Did you ever manage to get anywhere in there or around it?
No, they wouldn't let us at all. They would not let us in at all.
Right.
Not even for a little peek, not even a little under the radar peek.
Amazing. It's amazing. And the thing about the actual building was you could, when they pulled out and had to get it knocked down, they'd left stuff in there. You know, like cubicles, beds, broken chairs, broken armchairs, broken wheelchairs. They'd left. You would have thought the first thing that would happen is somebody would have come in and anything that they could have away and sell. You think they would have, but the glass windows in cubicles with huge glass screens that must have been worth, they're wooden, so you could take them out and put them somewhere. Worth probably quite a lot of money. But you knew straight away that it was really, really old, rotten, and there was stuff climbing up the walls and things. It was on its way out, definitely.
It was a shame, really. It was such a nice building, I thought.
Oh, it was, but gorgeous. But then again, what do you turn it into? Is the thing, and how many people would you? Do you want to come and live here, where the lunatic asylum is to be? It's kind of a shout, isn't it? When you're trying to flog a flat or something.
It is. I did manage to see what was inside it through happening upon an Urban Explorer's YouTube video.
Right.
Where they'd went in on night time. Obviously, they shouldn't, but they did. And
right.
There was quite a lot of footage. It was quite good to see the inside.
Absolutely.
But my question for you really is, obviously, this Michael Hope.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because I can't find much about him.
Right.
If anything at all.
Did you find Coxon, the merchant?
No, I did, but that was like 18-something.
Right.
It was 18-something, some merch. I thought that's got to be a lot older than
it was, because it was
we were talking about.
Absolutely. It was late 1800s, but the Coxon family were merchants on the Tyne until the middle 1920s, 1930s. So I'm presuming what happened was that this was down that family lane, and we already know that once Hope was out, because Hope became Hope Coxon. He's changed his surname, obviously, to Coxon. And when the family took over the business from him in, I think it was 1911, it all went to hell, and they ended up selling it off, and it became other people's businesses, and bad things happened to all of them, and it sounds like deservedly so, really. But no, the Coxons were very, very famous across, not just Tyneside as well. It was kind of Wearside, Teesside, North Riding of Yorkshire is where they did their business. But nice, juicy story to end the Halloween. And the fact is that
it was good.
Nobody writes these damn things down, and they should. The thing about the asylums, though, in general, an awful lot of the people in there were completely sane. Just their families wanted shot of them, so came to a financial arrangement because
I didn't know that last night.
Yeah,
until I heard you explaining last night about that, and I thought, shame, really.
We've got a regression recorded with a girl who, in her previous life, was in a wheelchair, and her family got sick of looking after her and pushing her around everywhere, so placed her into an institution. And if you ever get a chance to hear that, it's absolutely terrifying, because here's a lady there's nothing wrong with her other than the fact that her legs don't work, and she's in an asylum surrounded by people who, many of them sadly, criminally insane, and she can't get out, and she's trapped in there, and she just wants to die. And it's
that's scary.
Can you imagine?
It's enough to make you go insane, and then you are meant to be in there, aren't you, really?
No, absolutely. Hey, good stuff, Jason. Thanks for your interest, anyway.
Can I just quickly ask you something, though?
Of course you can, whatever.
Right, obviously we can't say where you were.
Yep.
So just thinking about where the place was, because there's quite a lot of woods in that area.
Right. Okay,
it wouldn't have been the woods.
I can help you. You know when you arrive at the place.
Yes.
The green bit is behind houses on the left hand side when you arrive. Okay,
I know exactly where it is then.
It's that front bit until you get through, because the woods used to go all the way down.
But
they
took
don't
some
now.
of them back, didn't they?
There's like a field bit now, but that separates the wood from the rest of the wood. It's the top part, left-hand side.
Right, I know exactly where you are then.
All right, no worries. Good to hear from you.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for calling. Bye-bye. Right, time for a tune. Let's have a tune. My goodness. Ghosty stuff aplenty. And this one, again, is a complete corker and one that I normally would never play. But hell's teeth, we're on the edge of Halloween, so why not?
Night Owls with Alan Robson.
What are we talking about next? You make the call. 0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Alan Forrest's been on sending us a message. He says, I think my cat's possessed. Watch out, there's nothing worse or best than a wild and rampant pussy. And we also have Gav, who was loving Alice Cooper, and no harm in that. I only caught a glimpse of Jo Carr, who let me know that she's down on Newcastle's quayside celebrating an anniversary and chasing a geet big dog. Didn't get the whole story, but I hope you found the dog and are enjoying your anniversary. I hope it's going well for you, Jo. Trying to do anything normal in the middle of all this stuff is very, very difficult, which is why I'm also going to read a couple of quick emails that we've been sent. And this is Angela from Sunderland. Just wanted to say thank you. I really enjoyed the show last night. I watched the last bit through my fingers. Virtual hugs to you and yours and the team, says Angela. Thank you. And also, this has just come in as well. And who's it from? It's from Chris in Gateshead. Alan, I just thought I'd drop you a message. I watched last night and was blown away how you brought me back to the good old days when I listened every night. Thanks for a great show. Also, this COVID is a big pail. I'm sick of it. I've got tested and been self-isolating for 10 days because I was positive. And it's not bad. It's not as bad as they made it out to be. I've been climbing the walls alone, and while I have had time to think, I thought mental health is a massive issue now more than ever, and men's mental health seems to be taboo. So I've decided to do Movember this year. I've raised £94 in 2 days. Not huge, but massive for me for that amount. And thanks to the love and support friends have given by donating. Might have a tash like yours in your heyday. Keep up the great work and please do more shows. I'm listening again now. Cheers, says Chris in Gateshead. Good to have you with us, Chris. We aim to do precisely that. Let's talk to Shane in Chesterleigh. Do you remember the film Alan Ladd? Right at the very end, the little child runs out, Shane, Shane. Anyway, he's on the line now if you'd have just waited. And he's in Chesterleigh Street. Hello, Shane.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, mates. What are you talking about tonight?
I've come on just talk about a few things, actually.
Okay.
Can you remember when it was a couple of years ago where we were at the night owl party? It was at the Hyena Club in Newcastle.
Yes,
the comedy club.
Yeah.
Can you remember when I was on stage and I was singing, and then after I finished, you shook my hand and said it was a really good performance?
It was.
You
did great, of course. Yeah.
That's boosted my confidence a little bit with singing and stuff, so it helped me a little bit by that.
Singing does that, though. Singing does that, doesn't it? Though? Yeah.
It does, yeah. And also as well, I don't know if you can remember. Can you remember when there was a video put on YouTube, and it was about we did a recording of last Friday night from Katy Perry, and it was. I still watch that video now with people in it from it. I was in that video as well. It was a good laugh. That was a really good laugh. That was just what I wanted to mention. And there's a couple of things. Another thing I want to mention. It's the art. You know how this affecting the art is affected through the COVID situation.
And nobody's able to do anything anywhere really.
Yeah, I know. I know a couple of people. Like one of my friends, he's a really good friend of mine. He's actually a local singer. He's called Jeff Mull. I don't know if you've heard of his music, but he's actually got music out there, and he does performances. But he used to do like street performances. He used to go out and entertain people in the street. Right. And obviously, when that got stopped, it's kind of knocked him up a little bit, because obviously he likes to be performing. So I think what they should do at concerts, when they should do what they do at football stadiums or arenas, they should put TVs like with the audience there, so then they can just perform that way instead of having a big crowd. If that makes sense. Do you think they should do something like that? Do you think that would work?
It's better than nothing, but there's nothing. Being somebody who's used to being up on stage all my life, I've been up on stage doing stuff. There's nothing. Yeah. There's nothing quite like having people. You're staring in their eyes. They're looking back. You've got a connection with them. Hopefully, they're happy to see you, and you're happy to see them, and you're sharing this amazing energy between you. You cannot do that with a telly. You just,
True.
You know, it's True. You need anybody that's ever been to a live gig will know I want to get back and have another one of them as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And for entertainers, I feel heartily sorry because nobody's doing anything to help them. They've just been cut off and forgotten about, and it's a downright.
I mean, it's not just like the entertainers either. It's like those who do like DJing as well. Like, you know, when they use that as a living so they can go to do parties and things. And I do know a couple of entertainers who do singing and they've got normal jobs, but they said that's nothing the same as what entertainment is.
No, well,
and they're really struggling.
Both the lads here in the studio next door have loosely described themselves as disc jockeys, and loosely, I have to say, but they can't get any kind of work at all at the minute for doing that. And for somebody like me who I'm only doing 1 day a week these days, and I'm driven up the wall, what I would normally do is I'll get out there and I'll work live instead, and you can't do that. So you're stuck in your little box along with everybody else.
Yeah, I do listen to your podcasts as well, though, on
good.
Spotify. I do listen to them.
Brilliant. Good.
Can you remember Michael who came on last night? Michael from Gateshead.
Yes.
Well, that's my partner's dad. He's a DJ as well.
Right.
And I feel heartily sorry for him because he can't really get any work, so he's got to do odd jobs. But just to get him by, do you know what I mean? Like he's got to help people with gardens and things like that. And it's not the same as doing discos because he's a really popular DJ as well, and he gets loads of work.
There you go.
And everybody books him because he's really good. But I do feel sorry for him as well. Just one more thing I want to talk about. Yesterday when I was at home, I was in the bathroom and there was a butterfly in my house.
A butterfly in your house?
Yeah, well, in the flat, I don't know how it got in. I don't know how, because there was no doors open and no windows open.
Oh, do you think it landed on the floor next to your house and then went on its back and then squidged in?
Possibly.
Don't know how else it would have. Have you got a hole in your letterbox?
Yeah.
Don't think the postman putting a letter in and the butterfly says, "Now's me moment"?
No, it was just what was strange about it though is the fact that it's like just the cold weather. Like we don't usually see butterflies in weather like we've got them in it. So,
not so late in the year. It's not normal. That's sure. And they only live for 24 hours. So what they're doing wasting their time in your house when you could
I know. And what happened was my partner Haley, she tried to get the butterfly out. She kept putting it outside, and it was flying back in. It landed on her arm, and it wouldn't move. She was trying to get it off, and it like stayed still. It wouldn't move, and then she ended up just having to take it off her arm and put it in one of like a tree or a plant outside.
Right. It's nice that she
flew off.
If you only live for a day, at least she helped it do its
thing.
Do
you think it's some sort of spiritual thing though? Like some people are saying it's like could be a loved one from like a spiritual loved one or something.
I have no idea. All I would have, if that had happened in my place, I would have just thought, isn't that lovely butterfly? Probably trying to get out the cold. And she put it back out in the cold again. But hey, that's where butterflies live, so fair dues. No, she did the right thing. Thanks for coming on, Shane. Yeah. Good to hear from you.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
There's Shane in Chester Street. And we have next Chris, who is in Donny. Oh, hang on. He's not. He has just disappeared. Chris, if you could grab him again. Well, I'll tell you what, while we're waiting, we played quite a rocky tune before from Alice Cooper. I wonder if Status Quo's ever seen a ghost.
Yeah. Hi, this is Francis Rossi.
And Rick Parfitt.
From Status Quo.
Well, I thought I saw a Mickey a few weeks ago. That's rhyming slang. Mickey Most, right? It's rhyming slang for ghost. But I've got sort of, I don't know what it is. I haven't been to see anybody about it yet, but I've got a weird sort of drifting thing which appears about 3 feet from my head on the left-hand side. And I figure I'm either seeing a ghost constantly or I've got something wrong with my left eye.
Or you could have been dead a few months, so you see,
But things keep drifting past me on the left-hand side of my head, and maybe I'm seeing Mickeys all the while, I don't know.
You never know. They could be with you all the time. What about you, Francis?
Well, my maternal grandmother, in Liverpool, she was a bit mutton, and blind as well. And
mutton, deaf, that is, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
and blind is blind. Yeah.
And she used to often talk to various people that were in the house, in this large house in Liverpool. And they're always talking about this nun that used to walk and play the piano in this front room. And I heard this piano playing one day, and I sort of looked out. And sure enough, this nun with no head walked past and went up the stairs. So I never went to that place after that.
Makes you wonder how she read the music.
No, you don't understand. She played by ear.
But how could she if she didn't have a head?
Yeah, status quo, and Chris from Donny is back. Let's head in that direction. Hi, Chris.
Good evening, young man.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Champion. How are you?
I'm all right. What you got for us all?
Oh, right. Okay. A bit of good news.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So, my son, Ty Cuthbert.
Right.
He's a carter. He's 11. He's just qualified now for the regional finals for the British Indoor Karting Championships.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did it at Stockton, home track.
Uh-huh.
Good lad.
Isn't that how motor racing drivers start? Don't they have to work their way up from there?
They do. They do, mate.
And he's 11. Hell's teeth, that's amazing.
He's 11. He started at 8.
Right.
We started at 8, indoor tracks. And that's where he's gone back to. But a year in, we managed to afford to get him his own kart.
Right.
Smashed a championship within 6 months in the winter. And he's got the most amazing backers you wouldn't believe. He's got, Bill Bass.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Bill Bass.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're headline sponsors. You
Brilliant.
got Travis Perkins and all the rest of them.
Well, they're hitching themselves to somebody who's going places, though. These people can tell, and it sounds great. Blimey, that's... do you not worry about him? Because, let's face it, it's a dangerous game, isn't it?
In karting, yeah, it is. It's incredibly dangerous. And, my heart pounds every time we go to the track.
Right.
But we went out testing in a proper car the other weekend, and he absolutely nailed it. You got 5 gears, go-karts, you got right foot, left foot.
Uh-huh.
You go out in, proper car, you got 5 gears, and he absolutely nailed it.
Fantastic.
So when I posted that on Facebook,
yeah,
that was everywhere. And we've got some more backers on board, but he's representing the whole Northeast and Scotland
Great.
in the regional finals,
Brilliant.
the indoors.
So when is that?
It should be the 8th of November, but
Who knows?
we don't know yet.
Yeah, with all of this malarkey, nobody's
Yeah,
sure. Hey, well, fingers crossed. So I'm presuming you're already planning for him to buy you a house when he becomes the next Formula One champ.
I've got so many people ask me the same question.
It's like, well, he could be a doctor. He could have a job in a... No, I think, hang on, keep going, son. That's all right.
We've actually sent out... he was requested a signed photo from Australia and the USA.
Right. How good is that? He's 11, bless him.
On Twitter, he's got 400,000 people that follow him and retweet stuff every single month.
Brilliant. Hey, well, more power to his elbow. And congratulations. Obviously, there was some high-powered driving talent in that sperm. Well done, you.
Mate, it's absolutely brilliant and a pleasure, absolute pleasure to be here tonight. Honestly, I'm overwhelmed. I really am. And Ty's going to watch this tomorrow. Obviously, he's in bed, but...
No, it's a fabulous thing. The whole idea about finding something that a young man can get involved with his parents' permission, that's really cool and could sort him for the rest of his life is a fabulous thing. Because when I was about 14 or 15, you get all that careers guidance stuff. And they usually tell you something. Well, you're useless at most things, Robson. You'd probably get a job in a warehouse or something. But for 11 to already have your path kind of carved out for you is just a tremendous thing. Absolute respect to the young man. He's obviously got a good head on his shoulders.
He's followed by BWC, F1 team,
right.
BTCC, BTC Racing.
Right.
He's got a lot of followers, but he does, he's a massive brand ambassador.
Yeah.
We get stuff through the post every week, literally, car products and everything else, and just posts.
Long may it continue, man. But thank you for coming on, Chris. Give Timey love as well. He's obviously on his way. We wish him well. Thanks for calling.
Hey, thank you very, very much. He's going to absolutely love listening to this tomorrow, man.
I'm glad. Thanks again for coming on. It's Chris in Doncaster. Ty doing his thing, and we wish him well with it. Scary, but fabulous. And again, that whole thing about, finding something that your son or daughter can do early doors makes a difference. Because, it's a hard world out there, and to find something that you're good at that early is absolutely tremendous. Good luck to them. Right, Catherine is in Stanley, and let's go across there and have some crack. Hello, Catherine.
Hi, Alan. You all right?
I'm good. Thank you for calling. You got a story for us, I gather.
I have, yeah. Well, first of all, I was at the Bone Church just in December last year.
Right.
In Prague, which I found quite peaceful in there, but I was there during the day, not in the middle of the night.
Subtle difference right there.
A bit of a difference, yeah.
Did you have a lot of people in there with you as well?
There was, yeah. It was quite busy, yeah. But fascinating place. Definitely worth a visit for anybody going there. But yeah, my story's from when I was working at Durham A&E as a staff nurse. So obviously we transfer patients at all hours of the day and night. So I'd gone with the porter up to the surgical unit, which is the top floor at the new Durham Hospital. Took the patient there. The porter always waits for you, especially when it's 3-4 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
So we're coming down the corridor, chatting away as you do with the trolley, come round the top corner to where the lifts are near the theatre side of Durham.
Right.
And as we come round the corner, we both saw what we both agreed was a gentleman go into the lift and the lift doors closed. So I quickly ran round the trolley to press the button so that we could get in and get down.
Right.
So brilliant, good. The doors opened. Absolutely nobody inside the lift.
Oh, that's cool.
Nobody at all.
And you both saw him go in there, right?
We both saw him. We both kind of looked at each other, and the porter looked at me and went, "There's nobody in that lift, is there?" And I was like, "No." So we got in the lift, very quiet, all the way back down to the A&E department. And then when we got talking to some of the other staff and a couple of the other porters down there, they'd said, "Oh, it's well known. There's lots of people see him."
Right.
Up on the theatre level, gets into the lift, nobody ever gets out.
There was a story about not Durham, but nearby, Cherry Knoll Hospital.
Oh yes,
in Sunderland. A lady rang and said that she was doing night duty, which was essentially her desk, and then there was the ward behind her that had 8 patients snoring at the time, and she used to put night owls on really quiet on the desk, so it's just her, just she could hear it.
Exactly, the good old days.
Happy days, absolutely. And she said that she was engrossed in a call. Somebody like yourself on telling a cool story. She was really, you're listening really hard to be able to hear it. And a man walked past her and said, "Evening." And she went, "Hello." And she just kept listening. And then she thought, why is there a man walking onto the ward? And she swung around and there was nobody there.
No one there. It's crazy.
Hospitals, that's sadly where people pass and...
Yeah, I know the old part of the hospital that's still standing at the moment. that belong to the previous dry burn.
Right.
The porters won't go down there on a night unless it's absolutely essential.
I've heard a lot of stories of hospitals similarly.
Yeah, they said you walk down that long old corridor where sort of the wards used to go off to the left and the right, and you can constantly hear people walking behind you. You can hear voices. You turn around and there's nobody there. And there's a few times on night shift I've said to the lads, wait, let's just go across. And they're like, no, no, we're not going across there. just stay out of the place.
Brave men. It's always a feisty woman that wants to go. I know these things.
Well, I do love paranormal stuff. I've been interested all my life and listened to yourself for years.
Yes.
Did you ghost hunt at Lumley Castle about 22 years ago now?
Fabulous.
So, yeah, back in the old days. But yeah, thought it was a nice, interesting story for you this evening.
Always good. Thanks again. Thanks for being with us, Catherine. Appreciate it.
You take care. Thanks, Alan.
Cheers, Alan.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Lovely. Hey, loyal, steadfast and true owls out there as well. Now, piece of music, I think, and it's a damn good one, but we may as well have the guy telling you his own ghost story first. Meatloaf.
Hi, this is Meatloaf. Everyone who is alive has seen a ghost. You've passed one walking down the street and didn't know it because it looked real, looked like a real person. Where you would be to see a ghost would... The basic rule is if you don't want them there, tell them to go away and they'll leave you alone. Just go, I don't want... The hotel I'm staying in has ghosts. And I have a little prankster in my room right now who has taken two things so far. And I said to him I sat on the edge of the bed and I knew I had it. And I said, all right, I don't want to play right now. I'm tired. I just got off a plane. I want you to bring it back to me. So I walked in the other room, came back, and it was sitting on the bed. And then when I got ready to go to sleep, I said, okay, go away, leave me alone. I'm going to sleep. Don't bother me. And it didn't. And then I couldn't find my headphones for 2 days. And so as I was leaving yesterday, I said, okay, I want my headphones back now. And I came back in, they were laying on the table. But that's not scary. I've been around them too many times. I've seen them, I've been around them. And they're people, believe me. There's nothing to be afraid of. If you get off in, certain sections and you start delving into certain things, yeah, there's a few things to be afraid of. But your normal ghosts are either residual and they won't do anything. They're just kind of like a film. They run over and over again, or they're intelligent, and you can communicate with them in different ways. And there's really absolutely nothing to fear from them. They can't hurt you. They're not going to hit you up the head with a brick or anything. And if you don't want them around, you just talk to them, go away. Come back when I'm not here. And I guarantee you they'll be gone. You're listening to Alan Robson.
bear with me. There I am. Hello, everybody. So, David in South Shields, let's go there instead. I'm just picturing her having a glass of some strange gin concoction next door with his feet on the desk. But anyway, here's David in South Shields. Hello, David.
Hi, Alan. First time caller, a bit nervous.
Hey!
I've been dying to say that for 30 years.
Good man. Thanks for coming on. So what you got for me?
I've just got a couple of quick stories, right? Brilliant. The first one, we moved in this house in South Shields and was sitting out the backyard one day. We had been digging all the shrubs up because it was big shrubs and were full of thorns and stuff like that. So I dug them out.
Right.
And I'm sitting there on the step. Me and Andrew were both sitting there. And all of a sudden, this mist descends from next door. It was about a foot wide, right? It dropped down, and then it started navigating around the garden. It started going around the bushes, hovering up, down, all around, went to the wall, hovered, up, off, and just disappeared. We opened the gate, but it had disappeared in the back lane. So what category you put that under, I haven't got a clue. But this thing was definitely an intelligent force, some kind of elemental, I don't know, but I've never heard of anything else sort of similar to that, really.
No, the nearest thing to it is we've had a few people coming on that have caught stuff in woods, and you see a mist. And you know the difference between just mist and a mist that walks up to a tree, stops, then turns right and goes around the tree. Mist doesn't do that. Mist would just swoop straight through. So we've had a few things like that. What the hell it is, your guess is as good as mine. But it's fascinating. And do you think that happened because whatever that was, used to go around your garden and was used to the shrubs being there? The shrubs suddenly aren't there. The same as what happens in houses when people do refurbishments or renovations. The energy in the house is used to travelling in a certain way, and you've kind of messed it up for them.
I don't know, but it was very strange. And it was definitely an intelligent force, without a doubt, the way it was moving.
Right.
But, and that's it. So the next one, this is a story that happened to my mum years ago when she was alive, right? So she went away with a friend to a place called Growthorpe in Ripon.
Right.
And she stayed there for 2 nights, and she came back to school, and she won't believe what happened. And she doesn't believe in ghosts. She didn't even after this experience. The first night, a friend woke up kind of screaming, saying she was being smothered by a black mass.
Right.
She was terrified, and and she had a red mark on her neck, and she was just really, really... She wanted to go home the next day, but they booked up for 2 days.
Right.
The man said, no, we'll stay. We'll book up for 2 days, we'll stay, but we'll leave the light on. So they left the light on, and she fell asleep quite early because she had no sleep the night before.
Right.
And my mum said she had a carrier bag against the wall, and on top of the carrier bag was a handbag. And all of a sudden, the carrier bag was rustling, and it was something squeezing the carrier bag. And then a handbag jumped across the room, and she couldn't believe what she was saying. She went into the bathroom, and she could hear children's voices, and all of a sudden, a watch clicked open, like the metal strap.
Right.
Clicked open and slid up her arm, and just flew off her arm, and then was hearing the children's voices giggling and stuff like that. So when she came back, she told us the story, and I 100% believe something happened there. When she went downstairs the next day, the manager just thought that the watch was a bit balmy.
Right.
But years and years later, we found out where she was, the pub. Right. This was probably about 15 years after.
Right.
So me and my partner went there. We had a few beers. I was just about to pluck the courage up to tell a story. I'm sitting at the bar, and I said, I've got a strange story to tell you. And the lights went out. Every bit of electricity went out in the pub, and it was just the most bizarre thing. and then later on in the night time, we were kind of upstairs. We heard a tapping on the window, tapping, and it was getting loud. I was absolutely petrified. And what it was the manager. He was drunk with a big stick, tapping on the window, trying to scare the Jesus out of it. That's the 2 stories that happened. Could have killed him the next day. I was terrified.
Fantastic.
But I've been enjoying this Night Out specials for years. I think I've got tapes going back from actually about 1993. Was at the Manson, one when you were in the tomb.
Yes.
I've got loads of tapes going back a little bit. I've kept the collection for years, but it's been great to ring in any case because I've always wanted to do just to share them couple of stories, mate.
I'm glad you did. Thanks for your loyalty. Really appreciate that. Thanks for coming on, man.
Brilliant.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Alan. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Oh, nice people. And they've been with me for all of this time, and you don't get a chance to talk to them. And first time there. Really good. Good. Brothers in arms, that's what we are. I haven't given you a second clue yet. I'm conscious of that, so let me do it. I'm going to give you 4 clues, which will end up giving you 4 words. Those 4 words come from a very famous song, a greatest hit. You have to work out what was the greatest hit and who had the hit, okay? If you can. First clue is this. The name of a dried mashed potato. Very famous dried mashed potato that you add water or milk to and it becomes kind of a mash. We all had it when we were kids, if you were of a certain age. Second clue, the world's most famous on-screen vampire. Okay? Christopher Lee has played this character. Cinema's most famous vampire. What was his name? That's dead easy. 2 clues down, 2 more clues to come. See if you can work it out. But do not ring in yet until you've had all 4 clues. Hazel was due to be on the show tonight. She sent me an email yesterday that I didn't get till today. But she hasn't put her phone number on, so we've not been able to call her. 0191 488 3188. Let us move on to concert, where we've got Kerry, Mountain Woman. Hi, Kerry.
Hi, Alan. You all right?
Hello. Good talking to you. What you got for us?
Well, I've got a couple of things, just off some of the things that you pointed out earlier.
Yeah.
The small businesses, self-employed, being affected by the new lockdown.
Absolutely.
Disgusting. That's the only words I can use for it, really.
You get the impression, though, that they don't give a monkeys, do they, really?
Well, they don't, actually. Yeah. It doesn't matter who you are, what background you come from. You can tell that these people are going to really suffer.
Yeah.
They're just like everybody else. I mean, if you have to self-isolate, you don't get any help at all.
No.
And being a small business, you don't really get what I would call ample help.
No.
You know what I mean?
And it's also where you know yourself that for a lot of people that offer services, whatever they happen to be as self-employed, once you lose your customer base because they can't come to you anymore for whatever it is you're offering, it's hellish hard getting it all back again. And
well, that's it. I mean, it takes being self-employed. You don't get that overnight.
Yeah.
It takes a long. For your first year, you're not making anything.
No, you're right.
Your second year, you're getting some pennies in, but it's still not enough. You know what I mean? You're still living off whatever scrapings you've got set aside. But
it's day to day.
There is a way that they can help themselves.
How's that?
No doubt you will have heard it. The Magna Carta.
Right.
If they look into it, practical lawful descent. There is rights by the Magna Carta, which you will be told that has been changed, but they can't change it. The government can't change it. Only the people can.
Right.
So it's Article 61 is still standing.
Right.
And it will always stand unless the people also change it.
What does it say then?
Well, the way the Magna Carta works now, I'm not fully clued up on it. I'm still researching it myself.
Right.
But as a man, woman, child, you are allowed to freely move, speak. Basically, you're allowed to do anything operating in your own business, etc. Because when you operate in a business, you take out a contract. A contract is corporate.
Right.
We're not corporate under Magna Carta.
Right.
You're your own man, woman. Right? And that's the easiest way I can explain it. It's very technical to those that have never heard of it. And it is a lot to take in. But if people look up on don't want to name the platform, but it's Practical Lawful Descent, Magna Carta, Article 61.
Right.
They can get all the information they need. That includes you as a normal human being, me as a normal woman.
I would think, though, in fairness to you, and it sounds great, and I think I'd rather follow the Magna Carta than I would politicians in general.
Yeah.
But because they've brought in special powers because of the pandemic, and I hear none of that trumps the Magna Carta. I hear what you say, and I agree with that. But because they've brought in special powers, you go up against government / police /
they're all
other people.
corporate.
But yes, but you also come up against other people who are now have been sufficiently frightened by the propaganda to say, oh, no, you can't go against this because you're killing my grandmother or you're killing my friend or you're putting us all at risk, because that's the place they have manipulated us to be. They want us in that scared little box.
Yes,
so
they do want us in that box.
we do as we're told.
But that's the whole point in the original system, which is the Magna Carta. It allows you to be a man, woman, or child. I have to put it in them terms because that's the terms that they use.
Sure.
When your name is put in capital letters, then it becomes legalese and you become part of the corporation, which is police, government, doctors, nurses, and anything else.
Yeah.
Insurance companies all use legalese, and it doesn't stand on land. We do not have that law on land. We are currently being governed by the sea. We are not governed by the sea.
Right.
That is, I know it sounds it's a bit bizarre.
I think a few people have called him a sea, but that's a separate issue altogether. With respect to the Magna Carta, though, I would love somebody, you say somebody with a bit of nous and somebody with a bit of power, but the people who have the power are making a fortune during this pandemic. It's just ordinary people who aren't, and I can't see any of them challenging the government in a high court.
They're already doing it.
They're already doing it. I would love that.
They're already doing it.
I would love that to come through.
Once you swear your oath,
right?
You swear. Once you're standing under the Magna Carta, they come together collectively, and what they are doing is serving the police,
right,
and any of the bodies of authority with, how do I put it? It's what you.
Instead of you getting kind of trapped in a wordplay, and I understand. I understand why you do that. But who's challenging it then?
Us.
Right. Okay.
Simple men, simple women. You know.
Right.
No. So there is people in legal positions that are also questioning it.
Right.
There's police constables who are now looking into it because they aren't made aware of the common laws and the Magna Carta. There is high-ranking doctors, virologists.
It's funny because I would never, if you go back a year and if you can still remember how free we were as a society a year ago, we were doing what the hell we liked and it was lovely. I just could not imagine anything, not even a pandemic, that would completely change everybody's lives in a negative way like this. Because even during wartime, when our parents and grandparents gave up so much, and many of them their lives, to fight for freedom, I could never imagine, as a genuinely free society, that people would surrender it as quickly and as comprehensively as it seems to have happened. I couldn't see that, and I would have bet my house against it. Absolutely.
Well, I agree with you.
Right.
I mean, I'm totally astounded. I mean, I'm not an older person, but I'm very astounded at the way people have reacted in this situation.
But if you question it, you know yourself, if you've questioned it with anybody, some people that have heard all the propaganda and they watch I've stopped watching the television news at all because it's the same thing every day and it's just pounding the propaganda in your direction. Believe. It's for your own good. 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 It's for your... It's thick and fast, and hey,
it's all the time. It's everything. It's not just the news. It's everywhere you go. Everything you do. It's surrounded by it. Now, I'm quite a strong-minded person, so it doesn't really affect me very much. But I have come across people where they are seriously affected by what's going on.
Sure.
And it's those people that I get concerned about. It's those people that are worrying me. It's the old that are worrying me.
Absolutely.
It's our children. Yeah. Because those are the people that are really, really affected. There's lots of strong people out there who can take this on the chin and say, right, well, what's the next protocol? This lockdown's 4 weeks. It'll not last 4 weeks. It'll last longer.
Yeah, I think we all know. But you see, it does sound though as if we're blasé about all the people that have lost their lives, and I'm certainly far from that. I'm far from that, and I think that it's just been handled badly, because if the people that are 95% of the risk is to the elderly and people that have existing health problems, why haven't we, instead of doing what we're doing with the lockdown, why don't we concentrate all of our actions on the people that are in gravest need of protection? But instead, we've kind of cut them off and said, don't go to the doctor, stay in your care homes, we're not interested in you, and we'll look after the other 5%. And we'll get the other 5% to lock down. It's like, that makes no sense, does it?
Well, of course it makes no sense. I mean, they've stopped all the treatments. They've stopped the cancer treatments, the heart patient treatments, diagnoses, you name it, they've stopped a lot. Now, that to me just rings alarm bells.
Sure.
Why would the government, because that's who's put them things in place, want to do that when they know that those people will die if they don't receive these treatments? They don't have their surgeries, they don't get their diagnoses. I mean, there's loads of people died just recently from heart disease and cancers. Even more so now with the suicide rates. It's deplorable. These people need help.
Sure.
Our old sitting in care homes can't see their families. I felt absolutely destroyed earlier when that lady come on and she couldn't see her.
It's sinful.
It's wrong. These people need human contact. They need to be loved like they were loved before we had COVID.
Yeah.
Not sitting in a nursing home with a bunch of nurses. And sorry, I know the nurses are doing really well, and they do care for their patients.
It's not the same as their own flesh and
blood. They're not family.
No, they're not family. You're right.
They want you're sitting in your 80-odd-year-old in a care home, and you're kind of losing your marbles a bit. You've got a bit of dementia. You can still remember who some of your family are. Wouldn't you want to see them and not some random nurse who comes in and changes their shift after 12 hours?
I get it. Explain how you feel, though, about this clamp, because a lot of broadcasters, television and radio, either talk shows have been removed, the TV presenters have been warned you have to go along and follow the government line to the letter, otherwise your show will come off and you'll be removed from your place of work. And they've even admitted we can't question this. You know, people like Eamon Holmes and whatever have been ballsy enough to say, look, we've been told if we say anything, the show's gone, so we're kind of obeying or doing what we're told. Why the secrecy, do you think? Why won't they let people... Because you think about anything, question everything we should.
You should always question everything. You should never just take anything that's said to you without looking into it. I was raised that way. Right. My mum always used to say, question it. If you're not comfortable, don't go ahead with it.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, if people start talking about it freely, then it's going to, how can I put this politely? It's going to wake people up.
Burst the balloon.
Yeah. If you take your screen, which is like you've just said, bombarding you 24/7 with all this, you must do this, you must do that, which is having a massive brainwash effect on a lot of people because they're just taking that as face value and they won't question it. And if you raise any subject with them, they become defensive about it because
they become defensive
what they believe.
Or threaten you. And that's
I've been threatened many times.
Yeah.
So that's why they have to shut everybody down. The gagging nurses, the gagging doctors, they're shutting platforms down on social networking sites for talking, or even if you're posting pure facts, you're getting shut down. What's to hide? If it's a virus and it's as deadly as they're saying it is, what have they got to hide? from people discussing it openly?
That's the big question.
That's what I question.
That is the big question.
Why can't we talk about it?
Well, we're getting away with it so far, but we don't know how long for, because I am aware of a little bit of investigation that's happened. People have rang me and said, what have you been up to? And I'm thinking, what do you mean? Well, I received a phone call asking about you and asking this and asking that. And you think, it's an uncomfortable kind of situation.
But you see, I think that's unfair because, I mean, your show is there for the people to talk about.
Yeah, but you see, but across Britain, about 90%, that's a big number, about 90% of the talk shows have gone.
Yes, they have.
And that's in the shows that have gone, most of them were really successful with great numbers, but they have gone. And you've got to say, well, is that coincidence that within 24 months? No.
No, it's not coincidence.
But that's where we are. Must move on, Kerry, before I lose my job altogether and it all goes black. But thank you.
Before I go, Alan, I've got a little ghostly thing for you.
Go on then.
Right, just quickly.
Yeah.
My house has its own.
Well, right.
And I had one originally when I first got me home.
Right.
And I know who it was.
Right.
And
who was
he
it?
was a lovely old man.
Right.
And he went by the name of Mr. Pollard.
Right.
And that's how he was addressed, Mr. Pollard. Mm-hmm. And I knew his name because I still got post here for him.
All right, yeah.
Now, he lived in the house before I got it, and he lived with his wife. Uh-huh. His wife was put into a nursing home because she was very unwell.
Right.
He passed while she was in the nursing home.
Oh, right. In the house?
No. He passed in the house.
In the house, right.
In the house. Uh-huh. Now, there was a lot of strange little goings-ons. The stair door would open. Lights would be turned on. Mm. I had particular ornaments that used to move.
Right.
They used to be moved. I used to put them back exactly where they were, and then they would be moved in the other place, the same places all the time.
Right.
And I used to think, right, okay, somebody's obviously got a key for my house. As you do, you know what I mean? But then I built a gym in my spare room.
Right.
And I had a big, very heavy weight punch bag.
Right.
And it used to swing from side to side.
Oh.
And that was in the room in which he died in.
Right.
And now I know which room he died in because the nurse who cared for him used to come to my home. Mm. And she actually said, oh, yes, he died here. And she actually described everything, where the bed was, everything. Mm. And I was a bit freaked out by that. But later on, I was in the property about 2 years. Mm-hmm. And this just continued. It wasn't nothing bad. It was actually quite comforting, to be honest. And my friends used to laugh.
Yeah.
But then his wife died in the care home. And he disappeared. I've had nothing happen in the house since his wife died.
Isn't that almost like he was waiting for her killing time, literally?
Well, that's what I believe, because they were together from being very, very young.
Beautiful.
And I believed he was waiting for her. Uh-huh. Now, I don't follow ghosts very much, but I do look into a lot of the spiritual stuff.
Right.
But I have noticed over the last couple of years photographs. I made a comment a couple of weeks back about a photo from Whitby with a black lady in the cliff.
Yes, I remember it.
There was nothing there.
Right.
There was absolutely nothing there. There was me, my partner, the scenery. We took a picture, as you do.
And there she was.
And there was this black lady.
Brilliant.
We also took some photos other places we've been. Mm-hmm. And there's always faces in the photos that aren't there.
Right. Isn't that great?
And we actually I laughed tonight because I was sitting on the bed and I got a little bit freaked out, as you do.
Right.
Because I turned and I looked at my curtains and there was faces in my curtains.
Right. Blimey.
And I ruffled them to make sure it wasn't just the
just the way it fell, yeah.
And it wasn't. And I said to my partner, the faces are here. and it's the same faces that appear in the photographs. We've got the photographs, we've showed them to people to make sure that, don't think we're crazy.
Right.
And you can literally depict the
see
the
the faces.
And I have a little girl. This is going off people that's into the spiritualists and things. Apparently with me all the time.
Right.
And I have a photograph of a Roman face with a little girl sitting on the bottom of my stairs, and she's wearing a white pinafore. Like they used to dress in the olden days, white pinafore, little thing on it.
Yeah.
She's sitting on the bottom of my stairs all the time, and it looks like she's got a bowl or something in her hands.
You've got a house full, lass. You've got a house full.
My mum's was even better than mine. She's got a miner. There was a chap on earlier about Stanley.
Yes.
My mum has a miner in her house.
Right.
And it's really strange. And I know he's there because when I was a child and living in the house, I woke up absolutely screaming, woke the whole house up because he was sitting at the bottom of my bed.
Whoa.
And he was wearing the pit cap. He had one of those handkerchief scarf things tied round his neck.
Yeah.
A waistcoat on. And really baggy, dark trousers.
Right.
And we later found out that the family that lived in the houses that my mum lives in are mining houses.
So there you go. It all kind of fits. Kerry, we must move on. But
right, sorry.
Thank you, darling. No, we could
worries.
We're queuing up. We got a log jam, but thank you for coming on. I tell you, amazing. Go on forever there. Very quickly, texts. Steve from South Shields is having his big toe removed. He wants to know if anybody's been through that and what it's like. I think it's going to be a balanced thing. You're going to have to learn to balance slightly differently because your big toe is important. Jimmy Blue Eyes in Darlington was thinking of Sean Connery randomly. And then later that morning, he discovered that Sean had passed. And also, loving the tunes tonight, says Ali. It's the hot and heavy all over again. I love it. The neighbours might not, though, with me belting out Bad Out to Hell at the top of my voice at midnight. Loving it. I am loving the show tonight. Listening as I put the final touches to my ofrenda as the Day of the Dead begins and the celebration of the people who have lost begins. Do you or the Night Owls celebrate the Day of the Dead? It's a day of love and respect for me. And I have cast a word to the few that I have lost that I was close to. I don't know how many others do. And Alan, can you tell me if you know how Bodie, he passed away, bless him. Do you know how and why? He was a lovely guy. Sending my love. I was in tears at the tribute show, says Lee in Newbiggin. We haven't got back. We've got cards and stuff for him, for his family, should I say, about him. But they haven't got back to us, and we've rang, and we don't want to impose, but we want to find out, and we'll do whatever we can. Little piece of music, very swiftly, and then we are talking to Mark from Southend. Now, this song, particularly in light of what's just been announced by the government, is actually probably the perfect song.
The voice of the North.
Alan Robson's Night Owls. The phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And we have something for you. If you missed any of the excellent programmes on Greatest Hits over the weekend, you got a week to catch up. They've got the Halloween celebrations with the top 100 Halloweeny tunes, which is a lot of fun. Greatest Hits Superstars featured Billy Ocean. Simon Mayo has his album show. And America's Greatest Hits with Paul Gambaccini. So lots of cool things for you to catch up with if you should, so does I, go to the website. They'll all be waiting for you. But we mentioned Southend. We've got Mark there. Let's see what he's got for us. Hi, Mark.
Hello. Are you all right?
I'm good, mate. Thank you very much. Why have you called tonight?
Well, I was just talking about this lockdown thing.
Right.
You know, I worked for a company. I worked all the way through the first lockdown.
Right.
In London. Deliver to and install electrical devices
right.
in a home.
Uh-huh.
Never had any symptoms, never had any stuff. Obviously, you're delivering to old people's homes, you know.
Right.
And you're delivering, and you're supposed to just... our first brief was just drop, in the first lockdown, was just drop the item in the hallway.
Right.
And not go indoors. But you're not going to do that with only pensioners. You can't, like a washing machine, they couldn't pick up. You know what I mean?
No, you got to put it where it needs to be.
Yeah, and then Dave, what you got to do? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. So it started again. I'm not sure because I've been off. I did 5 on, 3 off, and then we're on. I'm on the 3 off now, and then the announcement's being made that it's going to be lockdown again.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to doing what I was doing before because I don't want to see them old, well, East End or London girls or whatever suffering. You know what I mean? Or
no, I hear that, but you've had the privilege of going into care homes all over the south. The picture we're being painted is that people there are dropping like flies. Is that your experience?
No, not at all. Honestly, I'm doing about 20, 29. Well, it depends if I'm in central London, 15 outside of London to 29 homes a day.
29 homes a day? Hell's teeth, right.
Yeah.
So you'd have a good idea of whether it's as bad as what we're being told then?
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as that. I just don't think so. When I speak to customers, it's not.
It's not, right.
No, I just think there's something in the background, there's something going on because I've only had a couple of people who know have got it and then not had it. Listen, my mum lives it. Obviously, we're from Newcastle originally. My mum lives in the Midlands.
Right.
And my mum is being safe isolated. And my stepdad.
Are they all right?
Yeah, spot on, mate. Spot on. And I've gone every couple of weeks up to see him. But you know, I can't go now because the wrong idea. I says I can't come now because thingy, but yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting though because you're
Alan, there's something
else. There's something smells. Something's rotten in Denmark. If you go to 29 care homes a day,
not care homes, mate, just people's houses.
Just people's houses. I beg your pardon, right?
Or flats or whatever.
Right, but they tend to be. An awful lot of the people that you're visiting are within the danger zone, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. Indians, Pakistanis, or whoever within the community.
Right.
And no, everybody seems. Nobody says you've got to give a call before you go. If anybody self-isolating, and I've never had any. All the way through.
None all the way through. Fascinating. Mark, thank you very much. Stay well. I hope you can keep cracking on through this one as well and at least having a wage in your back pocket.
I'll tell you what, all will love to help people. I wish I could say the company name, but we'll love to help people and crack on and make sure that old people's all right.
I've no doubt. Thanks again for coming on, Mark. All the best.
Cheers.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye. He delivers to about 20, 29 people a day. Hasn't come across it yet. And you'd have thought you would. You know what I mean? 01914883188. Andy the trucker. And he keeps his head low because he lives near the Otterburn Range. He's on the line now. I think he's on 5. Let's go over there. Hello, Andy.
How are you doing, Alan?
I'm all right. Good to hear from you. What you got for us?
It's about this woman talking about the Magna Carta.
Yeah. Have you looked it up?
I know a bit about it because I've done it as part of my degree.
All right. Good man.
The Magna Carta was actually written by a group of 13th century barons
right,
to protect their rights against tyrannical kings. Because, as you know, like one cousin would fight against the other cousin to become king, and then he would get killed, and somebody else would come in, and they would all fight amongst themselves. And at that time, the monarchy was changing kings every 6 months.
Right.
So, and the king would bring in new taxes because he wanted more wealth, more jewels, all that sort of nonsense. And all these local barons got fed up with it and went, well, we're having the Magna Carta. And it eventually got adopted into law.
Right.
But the lawful descent part basically turns around and it makes it clear that if the people are wronged by the crown and no remedy is forthcoming, and after all steps have been exhausted, then the people may take whatever action is necessary to obtain satisfaction without fear of reprisal. So if you're jailed and you appeal it and you win, you get compensation.
Gotcha.
That's it covered. In a nutshell.
So how would this have relevance in the present COVID situation then? If people thought my business is being badly affected by decisions made in Parliament, I'm fit, I'm well, all of my people that work there are well, why aren't we allowed freely to do our chosen occupation? That, you presume, breaks the deal of the Magna Carta, doesn't it? Doesn't it trample all over it?
Yes and no, because there's been certain sections of the Magna Carta that's been amended, repealed, rewritten,
right,
passed through Parliament. So there's certain sections, but Section 61 is still valid. And don't forget, this was written 1215.
Right.
So 800 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? So if you disagree with the Crown, so say you get charged with an offence, you have the right to go to court.
Right, sure.
You don't have to accept that fixed penalty. You can go to court and state your case, and it will be tried by a jury of your peers.
Right.
So, and if you lose that and you go to prison, you can have an appeal, and you go in front of an appeal judge. So after all the steps have been taken, right, the law will say you're guilty or you're not guilty. Simple as that. If you're not guilty and we've jailed you, we'll give you compensation for being put in prison unfairly.
Right. Now, for your average person, though, challenging the government, not so much the Crown, but Her Majesty's government, I suppose. You'd have to kind of drag Her Maj in with it, I suppose. If you were going to challenge that, you don't. The whole reason you're doing it is because you don't want to be locked down. But you also don't want to be locked up at all. You don't want to go to court. You don't want to have to challenge it. You don't want to have to appeal. You don't want to go through the dance because it's the dance you're rising up against. So I don't know who or how many are going to do that because the government have always, right from the beginning, put themselves in a position above the law, you could argue, where they say there's a pandemic, we're bringing in emergency powers so we don't have to ask our ministers or the public. We're going to make decisions for their benefit, they claim, and they've done exactly that. So can you challenge the emergency measures that's been brought in? And also, should you question them is the other part of that, I suppose.
Well, people are upset because, their businesses are being told to close because in the eyes of the government, they're non-essential, like craft shops, sweetie shops, even newsagents that only sell papers and morning rolls, kind of like your basic corner shop.
Yeah.
So they're saying they're non-essential. They're talking about getting the basic necessities: food, heat, water, so people can live. They're letting people get public transport if they're socially distanced. So they're not restricting, technically, people getting to and from work. They're only trying to lessen the amount of numbers in one place to try and disseminate the virus, if that makes sense.
I hear it, but if you're the guy in a corner shop, for sake of argument, or you're the guy who's running an electrical business, or you're fixing mobile phones, or you're whatever the hell you're doing, and you've been closed down, but the shop next door's open and doing business, that's not fair, is it? I mean, surely everybody, if you're doing a business, everybody should be able to do the business. I don't see the benefit of it.
We've got the same thing up in Scotland.
Right.
If you're a licensed cafe, you can remain open, but if you're a licensed bar, you can close. Some people are saying, well, if I buy a sandwich out of a licensed cafe and I buy a sandwich out of a licensed bar, it's the same thing.
What's the difference? Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. But up in Scotland, the Scottish Government have turned around and went, no, all licensed bars have to close, licensed cafes can stay open.
Aye.
We're trying to minimise them. It's not about, you've got to think about where the majority of people would be.
But it sounds like that. It does sound though that like they're cherry picking. We'll shut them. We'll keep them open, and it doesn't seem fair, balanced. But more importantly, it doesn't seem consistent. Because the last lockdown, you'll remember, everybody in nail bars and hairdressers, you've got to shut, and now they're saying, but nails and hairdressers can stay open, and you think, well, hang on a second, that's a watered down lockdown then, is it? How can you it was closed last time, how can you justify it now? I'm glad that it's happened, but how do you justify it?
You can't justify it. I mean, the Magna Carta still stands, but the chances are an individual, or even like a group of 10 individuals taking the government to court and winning, you're probably having a wee with four fingers and getting four of them wet.
Right. Yeah. I see that. And
not bad.
Something that I remember from years ago was somebody challenged some big business, and all the business did was keep them going to court for about 3.5 years till they ran out of money, and then ultimately won their case. In this particular instance, they're challenging the government that's got as much money as they need to make sure that you don't win, which has got nothing to do with the law or justice, but it's a sad fact of life that money talks.
It's like taking an insurance company to court. You've got no chance because the insurance company's got armies of lawyers and you've got none.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So getting on to that, I'll get on to the thing you're talking about earlier about golden handshakes.
Yes.
Now, is that just for the local authorities in England, or is that for the UK?
It's the UK. So it's Scottish local authorities as well, because one of them was named in Edinburgh, and it was £75,000 a guy got when he let. He was being paid something like £180,000 a year. We'd all like that. But then at the end of his 28 years or however many years he was working for the local authority, they said to make sure that... Now, he already had his pension through the local authority, so it's not that he wasn't going to get a nice pension anyway, but on top of that, they gave him a golden handshake to thank him for all of the wonderful work that he'd done, and it was thousands and thousands of pounds, and I just can't justify it at any level, particularly now, when your ordinary person's... I beg your pardon?
It's written in the law.
It's a way...
Because politicians get it as well.
Yeah.
In the Scottish Parliament, which I hope they close the place down because it's a waste of time and money, a 4-year MSP who either stands down or loses their seat gets £32,000.
Unbelievable.
It's a golden handshake. If they hold a ministerial position, they get an extra 12 grand.
Cheapest.
If they do more than 4 years, it goes up to a maximum of their yearly salary, which is 64 grand. Now, that's just the Diddy Parliament in Scotland. You've got the Northern Ireland Assembly, the Welsh Assembly, and the UK Parliament as well with 650 MPs.
Mm.
So if they do one term, they're going to get half their yearly salary, so 40 grand.
Unbelievable.
For a junior minister or a minister, they get extra money for being the minister and having an office.
Isn't it strange?
So that's 220 million is probably closer to $1 billion.
No, I hear it. And the thing that I don't understand, and I know I worked for 40-odd years for essentially the same company, and 1 year they just didn't renew your contract, and you don't get redundancy, you don't get a penny, you don't get anything. And this is what most people in most jobs, they get to a point where you're made redundant and you get a small amount. You certainly don't get the kind of figures you've just been talking about. And this might be somebody that's done manual work, in an engineering plant for 30, 40 years, and they're coming out with buttons in comparison to these people that have just been sitting on the jacksies, and they're already covered by a wonderful pension in any case. So they're already looked after till they die, but here's some extra money just to have a few kicks with. It's scandalous, the whole thing. It really is.
I mean, if you take the Scottish MPs, because they've got quite a distance to travel,
sure,
they're averaging something like 200k a year in expenses. Right.
Right.
And there's 59 of them.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? That's just in expenses. £80,000 a year salary.
Right.
And that's just for Scotland. I mean, and you've got another 600 or just under 600 covering England and Wales and Northern Ireland.
Unbelievable.
Now, you've got people in Sinn Féin who take the money but refuse to swear the oath, so they're not allowed to sit in Parliament until they swear an oath to the Queen.
But they're still at the trough, though. They're still getting the money.
They're still getting the money, and they still get money for being a political party.
Yeah.
I think the last lot they got was 32 grand.
Jeebus. Unbelievable.
And so there's hundreds of thousands of pounds going out the door
down the toilet
that could be used for, and on top of the fact they only sit like 3 days a week in Parliament.
No, it's crazy. Andy, we're out. We must move on, but thank you for calling. Top call.
Okay,
Thanks for ringing in. Just shows you the level of money, your money, that's going down the toilet. Let's have a particularly cool piece of music, and then we will be talking to Julie from Darlington.
This is Night Owls on Greatest Hits Radio.
You never know who's going to call next.
0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And let's head off to Darlington, where we find Julie. Hello, Julie.
Hello, Alan. You all right?
I'm good, darling. Thank you for calling.
Good.
What are you ringing about?
Well, you remember I was saying, if you do remember, during lockdown I'd started to do a few little hobbies just to kind of
Fill the
keep
time.
myself safe.
Yeah.
Well, I was making soaps.
Yes, that's right. Uh-huh.
Yes, are you still there, Alan?
I am. I'm listening.
I was around to say it's like, maybe to give it a plug and just to say it's really starting to take off. It's really doing well.
So when people walk past your house, do they go, just like lush here?
Yeah, they do. I think they might like you to smell the cash.
That's a bit nicer smell for sure.
No, but yeah, it's I'm getting like great reviews. Well, really starting to get.
So what kind of soaps? What kind of soaps are you making then, Jules?
Well, I use essential oils. As I say, I don't use like artificial stuff. So you're getting a lovely strong fragrance.
Right.
I do like goat's milk, shea butter, and clear at the moment, or
right.
whatever. I mean, whatever anyone wants, you can just order it in. It's quite easy. And also, I've got about 30 essential oils at the that I can put in: rose, lavender, peppermint, tea tree,
right?
You name it. And if I haven't got it, then I'll get it.
Great.
So
Customised soap. Why not?
I just love making them, and as I say, I'm making them up, and and waiting for the next sort of comment. Are your soaps all right? And I'm waiting for them to say, "Oh, bloody awful," and it's like, "Oh no, they were fantastic, the best soaps I've ever used." And I'm thinking, well, what am I doing? What am I doing right? But I do put a lot of care into attention.
Right, sure.
And attention into making them, making sure they look nice, the presentation and everything.
Right.
I like doing the arty bits. And
you're going to have to go on Dragon's Den and make your millions then. That's what you'll have to do.
Well, I'm not making millions yet.
Be nice.
But it seems to be doing all right. I don't know if you can make millions out of selling soap.
I don't know.
But yeah, but it's called the Soap Boutique. I've called it the Soap Boutique.
Right.
And they're all listed up on Facebook. Well, not all of them, but I've got about 20 different fragrances listed on
your Facebook site.
Marketplace. Darlington area is the best place to go.
So it's the soap Boutique is what people's got to look for, though.
The Soap Boutique. There is another one if you Google it. Can't remember, but about halfway, if you do Google it, about halfway down the page it says Facebook Darlington, and that's mine.
Oh, right. So people can have a look and see what they fancy and clean up their act while they're at home. Lovely. Well, I hope it continues to be a success. I know you're enjoying it, so that's half the battle right there, isn't it?
Well, as I say, I hope so, because too many times in my life I've done just absolutely hate it, and you feel trapped, don't you, in a job you don't like, and it's just something I enjoy, and if I can make, even a small, modest living out of it, then I'd be happy.
I think that's where most people are at the moment. But thanks for coming on, and good luck to you, Julie, the sweetest smelling night owl so far. Thank you for calling in.
All right, thanks, Alan.
Take care, bye-bye. She's doing good. So check that out, Soap Boutique. Watch for it. Been talking about how difficult it is for people in the arts, actors, actresses, singers, bands, musicians, and everybody connected with it, even roadies, for heaven's sake, DJs, and they got nothing. They've killed the arts, dead. And how do you get by? Well, Sonny from South Shields is a singer, and I think he's just about to tell us. Hi, Sonny.
Hi, Alan, mate. You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you coping?
Thanks for having us on, mate. I'm fine, honestly. I'm getting by. It's been hard with not many gigs going on and stuff like that. But
sure.
But
what are you doing to replace it, though? And how are you getting by? Where's the money coming from?
Well, it's to be honest, it's been a tough one. Recently, the gigs have been coming back in the pub scene and stuff like that. But obviously, we're going back into lockdown now, so it's back to square one sort of thing. But
Sure.
obviously, I'm releasing my own music as well, which is great. So, but even then, like, you can't do video shoots or you can't get photo shoots because you can't see other people from different households and stuff like that. So, it's a tough one, isn't it? It's I don't know. It's like, and then you see the government saying like, God, this person needs to get into cyber. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter and that, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm still loving it. I'm going to continue to just keep plugging on. You know what I mean? I was lucky I saved up a bit before lockdown and that.
Thank heavens for that. Yeah.
Aye.
It's one of those things, though, that the longer it goes, the less money you end up having.
Mm-hmm.
You should have had your nest egg. There's no reason why not. You should be working. You should be singing. You should be having your team out there making a cool video for the song so that it sells more.
Exactly.
And you're just being... It's like, do your job, but wear handcuffs at the same time. It's...
100%, I know.
It's not exactly helpful.
That is the hard part as well, just not knowing, like, the unknown of when it's actually going to be over and that, you know?
Yeah, or if it's going to be over.
Exactly, you know. I think there's got to be a vaccine or something like for it to stop, but I don't know. Until then, we've just got to keep trying. You know, I think I've seen a lot of people like online just really struggling that, and I think they're in a lot worse position than me because I'm 21. I still live with my mum and that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So but some people have got like kids and houses to pay for and that, and
absolutely,
people are really struggling, and I really feel for them. You know. And,
no, absolutely.
But we'll all get through it, man. The art, nothing will ever stop the art. You know. It's always going to be there, and people will always want it. You know what I mean?
I hope so. I hope it's back soon as well. Sonny, thanks for calling. Good to have you on.
Mate.
Thanks, man. Do well. Now, I was going to play you a clip, but it's a clip from YouTube that somebody's added, and it's about the testing. You know, the testing kits that you get? She has a look and she points to the screen, and I'm not going to play it for you because all the way through she's saying, look at this, look at this, look at this. The thing that she's asking you to look at is that the testing kit, you know, the one that the lady came on before saying it's at the back of your throat, it's up your nose and all of that, it collects your DNA. Now, there is no reason, none whatsoever, why it should collect your DNA. But even on the packaging, it says that the laboratory doing it collects your DNA. Now, we've already been told that 9 out of 10 of the tests aren't effective. 9 out of 10 of them will not work. So 1 out of 10 is a lousy score. So why are they still taking as many tests? And it's because they want everybody's DNA. No freedom to say no. They want your DNA. Now, my question is, why? Now, you could argue, well, if you've got nothing to worry, if you've got nothing to be ashamed of, you've got nothing to... This is a question of freedom. Freedom and your liberty. Should they, because nobody that's taken a test so far has signed a document saying you can have my DNA. So why do they want it? So badly, across the world, they want everybody's DNA, except the elderly. Why? 0191 488 3188. Bit of food for thought. Third clue as well before we have a chat with Alex, who's in Chopwell. Right, clue number 1 is a name for dried mashed potato that's sold in shops. A name for the dried mashed potato sold in shops. Second clue. The movie screen's most famous vampire character. Third clue, dead people who come back to life. What are they called? Dead people who come back to life. Our last song is a subtle clue to that one. You got 3 clues down. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, you'll have your 4th clue, and then you can try and enter our competition to win a mug. And, of course, my new book, which is The Grisly Tales of Northumbria, which covers the best hauntings and the best sites for you to go and check them out as well. Each area is a nice little map, and you can follow it around and go and visit some of these cool places, and they're well worth having a look at as soon as you can, of course, because they're not exactly helping in the marketing department, closing us all down on a lockdown. Anyway, let's crack on. So it's 3 clues down, 1 more clue to come for the book and the Night Owls mug. So that's you'll get the pair of them, coming separately, though, one from a publisher and one from this lot. Right, anyway, let's crack on. Alex in Charlie Choppers up the valley. Hello, Alex.
How you doing, Alan? All right?
I'm good, friend. What you got for us all?
Good. Well, it's just funny. I just want to pick up on what you said there about that YouTube video. And you're you're right. They're right. Whoever's seeing it, it is actually a DNA test, and it does say so on the packaging. I mean, the PCR test, which is a polymerase chain reaction test, doesn't actually test for a virus at all. And that's obviously what, and they know that. That's obviously why the false positives keep popping up and things like that. And it's obviously just a numbers thing. It's just to keep it, because they know from a test which would be more reliable, they wouldn't get the same amount of real positives, you see. What they're doing is they're using a test they know throws up a lot of false positives from asymptomatic people as well. So it's just basically keeping the numbers up, I think, isn't it?
But you see, if you have a test that will say you've got COVID, even if you've had flu or any of the other viruses, then you're always going to have, if there's another 2,000, another 5,000, 4,800 have been tested positive today, but they're not. And it's a lie, and they know it's a lie because they're not stupid. So why do they want our DNA? Because that's the crux of it, by the sound of things.
Well, there is. This has been known for decades. They want to bring in digital passports and this type of thing, which will just be basically a microchip that will be in your arm or somewhere like that. All your currency is going to be on this chip. It's already patents for it. You can go onto the patent office and see that they want you chipped. They want all your money, your health, everything's connected to this chip. It depends whether you leave the country or not, and all. It's nothing to do with the virus at all. They just want your number, who you are, where you're at, all of the time, and it's part of AI. It's part of all of this kind of rubbish, and it's all going under the guise of a virus. And what's also interesting, and anyone can look this up. It's not hidden or anything. There was an event staged in October of 2019, anyone can look this up. It's called Event 201, and basically it was hosted by Bill and Melinda Gates and quite a few other heads of state and things like that. And the people at it were all heads of banks, heads of media companies, all this. And basically it was a staging of seeing what would happen in the event of a pandemic. So this is very interesting. It just happened to be a coronavirus pandemic.
Funny that.
And also, right, I've got because I don't like to get these things wrong.
No, it's good. Yeah.
So it was John Hopkins Centre for Health and Security, the World Economic Forum, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation ran a high-level pandemic exercise on the 18th of October 2019 in New York. Right, I'm trying to find a little note here.
That's all right.
So it was a simulation of an outbreak of a novel zoonotic coronavirus transmitted from bats. This is before December when this did supposedly happen.
Yeah.
So that the people that have eventually becomes effectively transmissible from person to person, leading to a severe pandemic. The pathogen and the disease it causes are, moderately illegal. Largely connected to SARS. So they ran that exercise in October of 2019, and 2 months later, it all comes out exactly as it was exercised back then.
But if you see government, leading banks,
that's what it is.
Health organisations, it's everyone that's giving us the rules that we have to follow. It's the people that have the power to do that. Broadcasters, they're all in it together. And that's enough to scare you, Paulus, isn't it?
But you know what it is? What's going to end up happening, because a lot of MPs, most, if not all, in this country have been served with a notice to say you either come out and say what people are telling you, or you're complicit with going along. Obviously, you're not hearing about this in the mainstream, but they have been served with a notice. You either come on your constituencies' side, or you go along with the lies. And basically, what's going to end up happening is going to be like a Nuremberg trial of the people against everyone who's gone along with this.
But you see,
people aren't getting it.
If you wanted to do the whole conspiracy thing and say this is exactly what the Illuminati said would happen, which is government would turn against the people and try and control them with lies, and then a new organization would step forward and say, but you don't have to go with them, for we are here and we represent the truth, and if you do what we say and you put us in power, we'll look after you, you'll get all your freedoms back, life will be sweet again, and you'll no longer have to worry about kings, queens, presidents, because we will put a team of people together to look after the world and keep it safe. And how many people would vote for that now, as opposed to the running around like a headless chicken, following rules that don't make any kind of sense, that's destroying people's lives, businesses, and their health? So it's, I can see this is, it's, if you wrote this in a book, everybody would go, aye, that's going to happen. And yet here we are. So it's a fascinating place to be in history.
Yeah, I think, see, I'm not really into the conspiracy side of it. There is, but a lot of it actually has come out as exactly what a lot of people have predicted. And if it's predicted, it can't be predicted. It's actually planned, and people have just understood it. So it's not really a prediction. Is it a prediction? Because it's sort of come out, hasn't it, as to exactly what they've learned. And obviously you put it together. Is it a prediction or is it actually a plan? Because this is a plan, what's happening now.
Well, you see, it sounds like it's a plan. It just, the people that have said that this was going to happen have said it for so long that everybody kind of went, nah. However, it might be, hang on, maybe there is something in it after all. Who knows? I mean, we're guessing because nobody's going to tell us the truth, and we're not likely to find it out legally for at least 20 years, when the vast majority of the people questioning it will probably be turning up their toes. So it's a dirty game. But if that was the planning phase of what has happened, it's a disgrace. And it's horrific at any level, because the world has fallen for it, if that's the case.
That's exactly what any of your listeners can go on, put in the search engine, event 201, as in the numbers 201, and it's there. The people who actually done it have got a website. You can just go on and it tells you who are the players, and they're all vaccine companies, the delivery companies, the people that run the media, the banks, the people like this. It tells you who the players are in it. It also tells you what this kind of... It's sort of a... I'm not sure the exact word is. It's not a stage of what could possibly happen.
Right.
But it's exactly what's happened, and down to the saying it's come from bats and things like that. I mean, that it came from bats, and then they said it was something else, and something else. It's just a load of rubbish. It's just to keep you off the scent. It's just to try and keep you involved, like there's something actually to come from this, and actually it's nothing. I mean, obviously the deaths aren't adding up. There is going to be a few more deaths, I think, soon, because of the people who haven't been able to get treatments in hospitals and things like that, because they're all dancing around doing TikTok videos and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of but thankfully a lot of nurses, good doctors, good scientists, they're coming out.
They're speaking out
and
now.
It's getting bigger and bigger. And what's going to happen? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to government after this, unless that's planned as well. But they're trying to obviously turn they feel that the first hurdle in March, when they started doing all this, it didn't have the impact that they thought it was going to. So what they tried to do is they've tried to cause a bit of division with the Black Lives Matter movement, it was also funded by the people up on the top, and people can do their own research into that. So what they tried to do was the George Floyd thing that happened.
Right. Yeah.
It said basically saying what a hero he was and things like that, and they just jumped on. These people just jump onto this to try and keep something going in the news, to keep you occupied and they want people separated. They thought we're going to kill each other. Never happened.
Yeah,
They're
but
just trying to.
The interesting thing that you said, though, is that good people are speaking out. And we've had the professor of virology say, in a bad year, flu has killed over 50,000. Why are we pretending that this is any worse? What else is really going on? So there's a professor asking. And then we had a nurse from the Royal Victoria Infirmary in Newcastle saying, no one is dying of anything other than COVID, and it's all a lie. I'm a nurse at the RVI. Why are we ordered to lie about it? Why won't more people speak out?
Well, that's it. I mean, you can go on people can go on to the Office of National Statistics right now and have a look what the leading causes of death are. And COVID-19 is actually 19th on the list. And it's 24th in Wales. So there's 18 killers above COVID-19 right now. And this is what people aren't getting. I think Alzheimer's and dementia are number one in England.
Right. Hey,
and COVID-19 is 19th, isn't it? It's unbelievable. And they shut the place down for that, totally ignoring the 18 above it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Alex, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alan. Take care. See you, mate.
Juicy call. Thanks for ringing in. What a world. And yet, as soon as you stop listening, and I'm not leading anything, I'm just listening to what you say and telling you what other people are saying, and maybe looking at an alternative view to the rest of the world at the moment. You go back to your standard television, they'll keep scaring the bejeebers out of you and tell you what to do. You know, over the years in my head, I've had a little bell, and it's got a red light that flashes, and it's a bullshit indicator, and it's been going off for months now. Months. Apologies for the language, but anyway. 01914 488 3188 may well be completely wrong. Has been before. Time will tell. Let's move on to Nathan, who is in Washington. Hello, Nathan.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, sir. What can we do for you tonight? What are you talking about?
What a world.
Okay.
I was just wondering if you know anything about like ancient civilizations. Are you interested in stuff like that?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've been looking at for quite a while now, all this year, really.
Okay.
I've only just been listening to you the past 5 months or something.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. So, which civilizations are we talking about here?
Oh, I don't know. Because I've been, it's quite overwhelming, really. It's like 10,000 years ago, something like that. There was a cataclysm.
Yes.
That wiped out probably the whole population of the Earth, really. Like a big ice age melt.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And, what's left of the pyramids? People think the pyramids, the academic stuff is like 2,000 years or something. Right. It's really 10,000.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. And the juiciest thing I always think about the pyramids is that in South America they were building pyramids, and in the other side of the world, two sides that had never met, and they were building pyramids. And you're thinking, how the hell did that happen?
There's lots of pyramids
have we been visited by people from the stars and all that kind of stuff? It's fascinating. I love all of that. It's juicy.
Yeah, there's pyramids in China.
All over the place.
Sorts.
Yeah.
Russia. Yeah,
Yeah, Turkey. You've got them. But yet they still don't know. We did a show when we went across to Egypt and took a look at the pyramids and how they're made, and they're saying that there's no plans anywhere for pyramids. So how did they build them, and how did they get them to fit so
The
perfectly?
weird
And
thing is, there's no hieroglyphs in the pyramids.
right,
There's no hieroglyphs, and it's like 8-sided, and it's it's not 4-sided. It's like slightly in at each end. It's bizarre. It's supposed to like represent Orion's belt. You've probably heard of that.
the whole thing's fascinating. I love the fact that also they found a very primitive battery in one of the one of the pyramids. Yeah. So how did that happen? Because it took like literally thousands of years beyond that before we ever had batteries. So how did one get into a pyramid? Now there's more questions than answers with that, but it's a fascinating subject.
Yeah. Well, I've known you. Well, I've watched the Scariest Places on Earth. That was in 2000, I think. I was only 9.
Yeah.
That's probably the last time.
That's good. Hey, no.
I've known you since then.
Well, thank you very much for doing that.
The paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
I've
Well, we've been doing it right the way through for donkey's years now, but we got a few things on Robson's World with Alien Jesus. There's a whole chain of 5 shows on there that you.
Well,
you
I'm
might
an astronomer.
Oh,
I do astrophotography.
Great.
And looking through the telescope like with a camera, and sometimes you can see stuff flying past.
Great.
It's probably satellites. There's loads of satellites up there. And,
no, there's obviously fueling the whole planet.
UFO in Kielder.
Right.
There's like an orange ball of light just floating.
Right.
Above. But I was too gobsmacked. I couldn't go and take a picture or anything, so I was setting up my telescope at Kielder.
Wow. I mean, Kielder's one of the darkest spots, so you get a good clear night sky up there.
It's very dark. I want to go there quite a lot. But I'm a paleontologist as well. Well, not a qualified one. I just go about.
Right. That would keep on keeping on. And thank you very much for coming on. We must move on, but thanks for ringing in. Fascinating subjects. Now, let's talk to Chris. He's in County Durham. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Alan.
Hello, mate.
Hey, mate.
What can we do for you tonight?
All right, got some things to talk about.
Okay.
The call that was on a few minutes ago was mentioning ancient artifacts.
Yes.
And things like that. And that's a very interesting subject. So I recommend people look into that because it's very interesting.
Right. Okay.
And he mentioned the pyramids and how they were built.
Yeah.
It was alien flying saucers picked up the blocks and then they dropped them into pyramids.
Whoa.
No,
right.
Well, that's what the conspiracy theory is.
That's
not really what happened.
All right.
Maybe.
Well, we'll never know is the thing.
You don't know, do you?
It's just you would think for something that's as cleverly put together and with blocks that are bigger than human beings, and they didn't have any cranes. It was obviously a feat of engineering. You'd have thought they'd have written it down somewhere at a time when they wrote everything down, but they didn't write that down. That's where the conspiracy theories come in, because if there's ever a gap in knowledge, somebody will put something in there. But even so, what did you ring about? Anyway, that wasn't it, I'm sure.
I was just ringing about, I visited the castle.
Right.
Like you do.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to mention the name of it, but
okay.
I was on stage playing. I used to play strings on stage a lot. And I got this gig in a castle.
Right.
It's in the northeast.
Okay.
And our dressing room was upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was full of old, really, really old relic kind of stuff. Amazing.
Right.
So when you go to a gig, you go there, you put your clothes out, and you're going to get changed just before the gig starts.
Sure.
So it was about 2 hours till. So everyone went out to get something to eat, and I got something to eat, and I went back upstairs.
Right.
We walked. I thought I'd go and have a bit of an adventure. So I walked through the door at the top of the castle, and it was amazing. The rooms were massive, and they were painted really old colours, like a lime green.
Right.
Kind, and a really light blue. It was weird. And I looked in the room, the first room on the right-hand side as I walked through the corridor, and the door creaked open as I opened it as well.
Oh, right.
And there was a big painting of it was like a woman's portrait.
Right.
Just sitting there, like with old like fashion clothes on. Oh, that's amazing. That's been put there, I know it has, and the windows were massive.
Right.
And I walked through, looked in another room. Again, it looked like the king's chambers.
Right.
And then I thought, well, this corridor goes on for ages, and I haven't got much time, so I walked right to the end, looked in a few more rooms, didn't really pick anything up, and I walked back towards where the door was, and one of the rooms had a massive hole in the floor.
Oh, blimey.
It was square. It was cut out with a still saw. And I was like, God, I could have fell down that if it was dark in here.
Sure.
I looked into it, but I didn't know how far the drop was, but it was at least 2 feet.
Right.
And so, you know what happened then? I heard the people coming in the door, which I opened because it creaked. And I heard them coming. They were looking for us. And they said, "Is there someone up here?" And I hid behind the door. And one of the women walked straight past us. There was 3 of them up there.
Right.
And one of them searched the areas when you first walk in the door. The next one walked a bit further. And the woman who walked past us searched the extra bits. And I thought, I'll never find them either. There's so many hiding places. And I managed to get right at the door. And I thought, I'm just going to give the game away. So I made myself known. And they were like, "You're not allowed in here." I was like, I'm with the band. I was just having a nosy. And she's like, "Well, you can't come in this part of the castle." I was like, "All right, sorry, bye."
Right.
And then I walked back out the door, and it was just an amazing thing. And then I went downstairs to the bar, and I asked the barmaid, I was like, do you do ghost hunts here? And she says, "Yes, we do."
Right, there you go.
About once a year.
Right.
But yeah, we do.
Well, you'll have to have a look next time you get the chance to.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going back. I recommend. I mean, you must know, like, not many people know how good it is going to a castle and visiting parts of it which are off limits to the public.
Sure.
You went to a forest earlier, and then you weren't meant to be there, but obviously.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't meant to be upstairs and that. But it's amazing, isn't it?
You can't help yourself. A man's got to do what a man's got to do.
But yeah, and before that, the caller that was on about 10 minutes ago now, going on about the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
It was amazing listening to that because everything he said rang true with me. Right. I've done my own research and I've found exactly what he's found.
Right, we'll leave it there. We move on. Thanks for calling, Chris.
Thanks, bye.
Good to hear from you. There you have it. God blimey, we got some stuff for you tonight. Now, I want to get back to as many calls as we possibly can, obviously. We've got to play a little bit of music, so I'm taking them at their word. Here's a little bit of music.
Zoinks! Like this is Shaggy with my favorite ginger, Alan Robson. Zoinks! Like this is Shaggy with my favorite ginger, Alan Robson.
You don't have to say it twice.